2 cities breached, 3 Tier 2 market towns, 7 Tier 2 assets, 6,000 spirit cultivators killed, and 40 of them Foundation establishment. Their corpse count is still short by a few thousand, with 60 Foundation establishment bodies missing, and they have yet to produce a single golden core corpse. I frown at him and remind him that the corpse count feeds the blood sacrifice, and the blood sacrifice is what breaks the spatial seal, so the bodies need gathering fast. He answers that their own director Ju is pushing the hunt harder and that the easy phase is over now that the surprise is spent. They will have the numbers as soon as it can be done. I nod and turn to the rest of them, who speak for the Shungnam branch, the Moon branch, the Buyo branch, and the Falling Cloud branch. One by one, they trade their situations with me. A spatial seal, blood sacrifices. Whatever's behind that seal, nobody in this room is going to like it. I tell them that the Hongmeng dynasty's turn to the demonic path is public knowledge now, and that most of the old strongholds are burned. I will be sitting out the storm here, and when they hunt spirit cultivators, they are to keep the noise well away from my mountain. They all accept it. Then I offer them the hook. It would be safer, I say, to ship the corpses they collect to me for storage, since my ground is remote and has already been swept by a golden core cultivator. That makes it the last place anyone will look twice at, and any wounded can be sent here to recover under my care. One of them hesitates and points out that a Tier 1 market town seems a thin shield to hide behind. I tell him that being Tier 1 is exactly the point, because nobody bothers watching what is beneath their notice. While I have their attention, I add that any loot their branches cannot move safely can come to me, since I have channels for awkward goods and will settle in spirit stones. The 5 look at one another and come around. One of them says that Director Lee has run the Hongmeng dynasty for years, and every branch depends on that support, and another promises to raise it with his branch director at home. I finish by telling them I will cut a tunnel through to the back foot of the mountain, and that from now on they come in that way and never through the front. They understand. I watch the 5 of them walk out and let my face do whatever it wants. Surely they will not actually haul every corpse they collect to my door. That would be too generous, even for men this stupid. Better in my hands than in a blood sacrifice at any rate. Once I have taken the bodies apart and made proper use of them, I can bury each one decently, which I choose to count as a good deed. So I start digging before the taste of the conversation wears off. Between my formations, my puppets, and the Earth Escape talent, the tunnel runs from the market town to the foot of the mountain in no time. And then comes the decorating. Every shelter space I hollow out gets furnished, and it gets furnished with kill formations, trap formations, and illusion formations. All of them sit patiently under the stone waiting for guests to move in. 3 full days go into that work. When the last formation is seated, the demonic cultivators still have not come, and it does not bother me, because there is always cultivation. The golden core puppet breathes out a wisp of demonic power, and my main body decomposes it into pure spiritual power, over and over. The spiritual power in my Dantian rises at a pace that would look like cheating to anyone watching. 1% of that golden core's reserve is all it costs me to fill myself completely. My chi refining reaches the 9th layer, at perfection. Looking inward, my lower Dantian is packed with spiritual power and demonic power in equal shares. The 2 of them split down the middle, with the Tao origin sitting between them holding the border. In my middle Dantian, the blood chi has gone so thick and viscous that it is beginning to turn toward essence. In my upper Dantian, the soul body sits like a mountain that has never heard of weather, with 1,000 wisps of converted divine sense strengthening steadily under the divine sense technique. Every prerequisite for foundation establishment is met. I am in no rush to spend them, so I keep polishing what I have and wait for my guests. They arrive on the night of the 4th day, more than 100 of them, drifting up to the foot of Cloud Mist Mountain without a sound. I fly the puppet clone down to meet them, and the whole crowd bows and calls me Director Lee. Out in front of them, a man carrying the aura of a golden core walks up smiling and greets me as Brother Lee, saying it has been too long. I smile back and apologize for dragging Brother Ju all this way, and Ju Giheng laughs and says the apology belongs to him. Then I tell him to come and see the tunnel. The entrance is hidden at the base of the mountain, and I take him through it with all 100 of his people behind us. The passage runs wide and high enough that not one of them has to stoop. Zhou Giheng sends his divine sense into the wall out of habit and pulls up short, asking what the stone is made of, since his divine sense cannot get through it. I tell him the truth, or most of it. All of Cloud Mist Mountain is one great mass of inert material that blocks divine sense on its own, and I refine some of it and mixed in other blocking materials to line the tunnel. He calls it fine work. Further in there is a heavy door set into the tunnel wall, and when I open it, the space behind is a hall of tens of thousands of square yards. I explain that it is a shelter, somewhere to disappear into if the day ever comes that spirit cultivators run them to ground. Zhou Giheng is puzzled and says they already have a shelter, deeper underground and far safer than this. I shake my head and tell him that shelter is the last door, the one that gets opened once, and that a man cannot spend his ordinary days inside his final hiding place. This one is for ordinary days. He grants the point and agrees that one more hole in the ground never hurt anybody. Then I walk them onward past shelter after shelter, one for every branch that wants it, each with its own entrance and its own exit so that no branch ever has to cross another's path. Very considerate of me. At the last shelter, Jugi Hang stops and says we may as well do the handover here, since the place is comfortable and looks about as safe as anything gets. He has brought every corpse the 5 branch sects have collected, and he would rather leave them with me than keep dragging coffins around a war. I tell him that works. He waves a hand, and the 100-odd demonic cultivators behind him produce their storage pouches and stack them in the middle of the floor, and he gives me the count. 30,000 corpses at Chi Refining, 300 at Foundation Establishment. No golden core yet. I call the pouches up one at a time and look inside. Inside are rows of frozen coffins, one cultivator to a coffin, a great many of them missing limbs and worse, but whole enough for whatever the blood sacrifice needs. I tell him to leave them with me. He says that since delivery is done, he will take his people out again, and I wish him a safe road, and that is the entire ceremony. Demonic cultivators care about efficiency and nothing else, which today happens to suit me perfectly. Once they are truly gone, my main body walks into the space and opens every pouch at once. Coffin after coffin comes out of the air until all 30,000 stand ranked across the floor, and my eyelids twitch at the sight. There is no way to look at 30,000 coffins in one room and feel nothing. I cup my hands to them and tell them they are already dead, and then I took them back from the demonic cultivators, saving them for a blood sacrifice. I intend to take a few things they have no further use for as my fee, and I hope they will not begrudge me. Then I breathe out and sweep my divine sense across the hall, and 30,000 lids rise together. I sigh once and point at the first man. Decompose. The corpse stays where it lies, but beside it now rests a corpse body, a knot of spiritual power, his blood chi and his spiritual root. No soul anywhere. Either the demonic cultivators took it or he has already gone on to reincarnation. I brush the spiritual root and it opens into a spirit text in a cloud of ownerless spiritual essence. I take both, half of the essence to the Tao origin and half to my own roots. Then I move to the next coffin and do it again. The first 100 are enough to change me. My 5-element spiritual roots all climb to high grade. At the 117th corpse, something I did not expect comes out, a wind spiritual root, only low grade but a beginning. Once I start pouring spiritual essence into it, the thing rises to medium grade and keeps going. The 239th gives me a lightning spiritual root. The 589th gives me an ice spiritual root. When I break down the second lightning spiritual root, the surface of my Tao origin catches a lightning spirit text out of it. An ice spirit text and a wind spirit text follows soon after. And then the novelties stop and it becomes work. By the 4,000th corpse, all 8 of my spiritual roots turn over into top grade. The world feels different immediately. Heaven and earth spiritual chi has gone friendly toward me, and the barest intention on my part makes it come pouring in. That is 3 times the rate a high-grade root manages and 9 times what a medium-grade root can do. A medium-grade spiritual root might spend 5 years crawling to chi refining level 4. A top-grade root does it in half a year, and with decent resources behind it, in a month or 2. This is why top-grade roots are the legacy seeds every sect is built on, and why headquarters sends experts in person to escort a child the moment one is detected. I now have 8 of them, and this is still not my ceiling. So I keep going, corpse after corpse dissolving into ownerless spiritual essence, my top-grade roots thickening with every one. With only 100 coffins left unopened, all 8 roots finish their change at once. Top-grade to heavenly spiritual root, heaven and earth change color in front of me. I can see the flow of chi with my own eyes now, the red of fire chi, the green of wood chi, even the run of the spiritual veins under the ground. The wind, lightning, and ice roots I picked up along the way let me see the wind and the lightning and the ice moving through the world as well. A moment's attention is all it takes to pull a trace of wind, momentum, lightning momentum, and ice momentum out of the air. It is that easy. That is the part that unsettles me. A heavenly spiritual root is the heavenly Tao's own child, and cultivating with one is no harder than eating when hungry. By my own estimate, a heavenly spiritual root taking no pills at all, sitting inside a first-order spiritual vein and doing nothing but breathing, would reach foundation establishment inside 100 days. The classics call them peerless geniuses who appear once in 1,000 years, and they are not exaggerating. Major sects will claw each other bloody over one and have started wars in the cultivation world for less. A heavenly spiritual root is guaranteed the nascent soul stage and stands a real chance at soul transformation. Every sect that has one hides it and guards it like a vault against assassins. I take a breath and open the next coffin anyway. The spiritual essence has nowhere left to go, since the heavenly spiritual roots will not take another drop, so all of it goes into the Tao origin instead. The origin swallows everything I feed it like a hole with no floor, and stays at high grade. When the last corpse has been broken down, I gather everybody back up. Then I sit in the middle of the field of blood chi spheres and spiritual power spheres they left behind and cross my legs. It is time to establish my foundation. The golden core puppet takes up position at the mouth of the underground space to stand guard over me. The spirit gathering formation is already running. I set out a great heap of spirit stones beside me, and then 100 foundation establishment pills out of Lee Sung-gung's storage ring. I decompose them one after another into top-grade foundation establishment pills, and set those aside in case the night goes badly. Everything I could want is in this room. I settle my breathing and begin to circulate the foundation establishment method of the cloud chi art. The crude version of foundation establishment is simple enough. Liquefy the chi, refine it into true essence, and the breakthrough counts as done. Nobody serious settles for the crude version, because every cultivator alive wants a road that keeps going after this one, and that is where the Tao Foundation comes from. Enough people experimented over enough centuries to learn that during the breakthrough a cultivator can use his spiritual root as the catalyst. From that he builds a Tao platform in his dantian, round or square, one layer or many. The plainest result is a Tao foundation 1 inch across and a dull, unremarkable gray, and that is a low-grade Tao foundation. It does nothing for a future golden core, though it helps a man pass the small bottlenecks inside the foundation establishment realm, and it carries only the single layer. Plenty of cultivators never manage even that. The second tier runs 2 inches across, pale white and respectable, and it lets its owner condense one more layer when he breaks into the middle stage. That is a medium-grade Tao foundation, worth 10% on the odds of a golden core later, and it is what most people can actually reach. A low-grade spiritual root needs an unusually solid foundation and an ordinary heaven and earth treasure to reach it, while a medium-grade root can often condense one on its own. The third tier measures 3 inches, pure white and genuinely good, and it grants an extra layer at both the middle stage and the late stage. That is a high-grade Tao foundation, worth 20% toward a golden core. Reaching it costs a medium-grade root a better heaven and earth treasure, and costs a high-grade root additional treasures on top. The fourth tier is 4 inches across and as clear as jade, and it takes a new layer at the middle stage, the late stage, and the peak. That one is an extreme-grade Tao foundation, 40% toward a golden core and another 10% toward an ascent soul. It is rare enough that only an extreme-grade spiritual root has any hope of it, and only with excellent treasures behind the attempt. Then there is the fifth. It runs 5 inches across in pale gold, taking a fresh layer at the middle stage, the late stage, the peak and perfection both. A perfect Tao foundation is worth 60% toward the golden core, 20% toward the ascent soul, and 10% toward soul transformation. It belongs exclusively to heavenly spiritual roots working with top-tier heaven and earth treasures. The world sees 1 in 1,000 years. Every prodigy in the race is chasing it. So am I. I have the heavenly spiritual root and a foundation nobody could call thin, and a perfect Tao foundation should be well within reach. I go over the method once more before I touch anything, and the old formula is a chain with no slack in it. Sit in quiet contemplation and meditate on the spiritual root. Communicate with heaven and earth, using momentum as the bridge. Draw in the breath of the great Tao, refine the essence of the chi, absorb the brilliance of the physique, fuse the consciousness of the soul, smelt the source of all treasures, and out of all of it raise the heaven-reaching Tao foundation. The breath of the great Tao is the hinge. Everything else is preparation for it, which means the Tao foundation is shaped by the rules of heaven and earth themselves, and not by any cultivator's cleverness. We did not invent this, we noticed it, wrote it down, and learned to stand in the right place at the right time. No wonder the color classifications are fixed, since they were never ours to choose. I clear my head and sink, and inside a few breaths the contemplation takes. I reach for my spiritual roots and find them. 8 pillars of light standing rooted in my meridians, running through every channel in my body like the lines of a circuit. Each one is distinct, none of them tangled with any other. My consciousness climbs those 8 pillars and looks out at the world through them. In that strange sight, the air is full of drifting strands of power. The red breath of the fire concept. The green breath of the wood concept. The green breath of the wood concept. I do not hesitate. I put out my momentum, and my insights into the 9 kinds of momentum weave into a 9-colored rainbow bridge, running straight through heaven and earth. Every breath of the great Tao within reach turns toward me like it has been called by name. Then an idea hits me, and I feed the water concept and the fire concept into the bridge as well. The span swells past 10 times its width and floods over entirely into blue and red, and far more of the great Tao comes up the bridge, down my meridians, and into my dantian. I have been ready for this for days. The moment it arrives, I start compressing my chi and my demonic power, running the cloud chi art at perfection, and the two of them condense into hanging droplets exactly the way clouds do. What they liquefy into is a true essence of black and white together, the experiment I have been quietly building toward, True essence condensed by the dual cultivation of spirit and demon. Something in my bones says this road goes all the way to the top, so I take it. I gather the true essence and fold it into the breath of the great Tao. Some rule I did not write takes hold of the mixture and shapes the breath into the phantom of a cloud. The true essence pours in and fills it out until the cloud-shaped Tao foundation is real enough to see. It reaches 1 inch and settles into gray, and I stay calm, because there is a great deal more of both ingredients left. It reaches 2 inches and the gray cloud turns white, which is the medium-grade Tao foundation, and I have spent under 1% of my true essence to get there. I keep pouring. 3 inches and the white goes pure, a clean and restful white that would look at home in a summer sky. That is a high-grade Tao foundation, bought with 1/10 of what I hold. I do not slow down. At 90% spent, the cloud reaches 4 inches and turns extreme grade. Right then, the golden core puppet throws its divine sense across the hall, gathers the 30,300 clusters of ownerless chi still hanging over the corpses, and drives them into my main body. I open the cloud chi art all the way and refuse nothing. Some of those clusters are not chi at all but demonic power. Not every corpse in that shipment belonged to a spirit cultivator, and the demonic cultivator's own dead were carted here with the rest. Chi or demonic power, it all goes down. My Dantian is 12,000 times the size of an ordinary chi refining cultivator's, and what it can hold does not bear thinking about. 30,000 clusters come in, the cloud chi art turns them into true essence, and the true essence keeps feeding the cloud. The breath of the great Tao pours in from heaven and earth without pause, opening more room for the thing to grow into. The chi of 30,000 chi refining cultivators condenses my true essence twice over. The chi of 300 foundation establishment cultivators condenses it twice more. On the last round of filling, the cloud-shaped Tao foundation opens out to 5 inches and turns a pale, noble gold, and it is a perfect Tao foundation. Except the breath of the great Tao has not stopped coming. There is a phantom ring standing out at the edge of the cloud now, and it reads to me exactly like something waiting to be filled and pushed wider. When I feed more true essence into it though, nothing solidifies. So true essence is not the answer here. Essence then. I reach for the blood chi packed in my middle dantian. The body refining breakthrough comes first. Under the turning of the cloud body art, the 9 cloud patterns sunk into every bone in me reach for one another and lock into 9 cloud formation patterns. Then the 9 clouds fold inward and condense into a single crimson cloud. That cloud tempers the bone it sits in until the bone changes outright and steps into the ranks of foundation establishment. After the first one goes, the rest fall like dominoes. Bone and flesh and meridians and fascia and skin transforming in succession. My whole body crosses into the foundation establishment realm in one pass. In the middle dantian, my blood chi refines along with it, leaving its gaseous state behind and gathering into liquid essence. The essence runs the meridians down into the lower dantian and pours straight into the Tao foundation. Sure enough, the perfect Tao foundation begins expanding and solidifying again. Its span pushes past 5 inches, and its color slides out of pale gold toward pure gold. I am stunned for one breath, then I go back to feeding it essence. More than half the essence is gone by the time the Tao foundation settles at a radius of 6 inches. 6 inches means it has already passed the perfect Tao foundation, so the perfect everyone talks about was never truly perfect. At the 6th grade, the breath of the great Tao keeps widening the ring, and the pure gold darkens toward deep gold. I take a deep breath and call in the more than 30,000 blood chi light clusters hanging around me. They come in a rush and I devour them, refining everyone into essence and pouring it in without pause. Round after round of blood chi goes down while the 7th grade Tao foundation slowly firms up. 25,000 light clusters later, it is completely condensed. The 7th grade Tao foundation is deep gold, a thick golden yellow that carries its own nobility. I have no idea what bonuses a Tao foundation like this hands out, but it is strong, and that is enough for now. Even after it settles, the breath of the great Tao keeps flowing out of heaven and earth into my dantian, and an 8th phantom ring has already surfaced. Essence will not solidify that one. I gasp, settle my heart, and turn my divine sense on the problem instead. The divine sense in my sea of consciousness converges on the Tao foundation, wisp after wisp sinking directly into it. The 8th layer does begin to solidify, and it is agonizingly slow. As the wisps burn away, I start spending soul power without hesitation, using soul power to condense divine sense and divine sense to fill the ring. 1,000 wisps buy me 1/10,000th of the layer. The divine sense recovers off the soul power and rushes back in wave after wave. A second round and a third and a fourth with no end in sight. I take out the soul refining banner and release what is left of Li Shangong's ownerless soul power into my sea of consciousness, and it comes back out as more divine sense. The 8th inch is harder than everything below it put together, and partway through I work out why. Condensing it wants soul power at the golden core stage, and no chi refining cultivator alive carries that. The rest of the ladder shows itself in hindsight, and it is monstrous. The 6th inch wanted essence cultivation at the middle stage of foundation establishment, and the 7th inch wanted essence cultivation at foundation establishment perfection. 10,000 rounds of recovery finally bring the 8th inch home. The ownerless soul power is gone to the last drop, and the soul power of my main body and my split soul both sink to the late stage of foundation establishment to cover the difference. The 8th grade Tao foundation stands pale purple, reserved and noble, a crown grown between heaven and earth. There is one more inch after this, and I know it before I look for it. Luckily, my concept comprehension already clears the bar for the 9th grade. The bridge of concept is still drinking the breath of the great Tao and shaping the 9th phantom ring for me. Without a concept-level comprehension, that ring would never so much as qualify for condensation. Asking a chi-refining cultivator to comprehend a trace of concept is close to asking for the impossible. I did it anyway. The 9th ring will not take divine sense at all, so I stop bargaining and reach for my strongest treasure, the spiritual origin. It moves under my will, drifting bit by bit until it settles in the center of the Tao Foundation and embeds itself there. The spiritual origin and the Tao Foundation blend together, its strange rhythm running out into the ring, and the last phantom hardens fast. Pale purple deepens into full purple and holds. The 9-inch Tao Foundation is completely condensed. Aura erupts off me and climbs. I throw the golden core puppet over it to smother the signal, and the puppet does nothing at all. The aura goes straight up, the clouds roll, and every snow-white bank overhead turns purple in an instant. The purple spreads outward and keeps spreading until it has covered the whole vault. The sky above the Hongmong dynasty is roofed in purple cloud, and it runs past that to the end of the horizon. Countless living beings stare up with no idea what is happening. Some kneel and kowtow, begging the heavens to calm their anger. Others dance and shout that a treasure has descended into the world. Even the cultivators go pale and argue about it, and the experts who divine the heavenly secrets find only haze and come away with nothing. The purple lasts 9 breaths before it drains back into white, and the sky looks ordinary again. The world does not settle though, and every major force sends people out to learn what happened. Seeing purple past the far edge of my own vision is what finally lets me breathe. A manifestation that broad points at nobody, which means it does not point at me. I look up over my head and my main luck has jumped in a way I have never seen. It goes from over 800 wisps of yellow luck, skips green luck entirely, and lands at 100 wisps of 100, and even my world luck rises from 1 wisp to 10. That is only the outside of it. I turn my eyes inward on my dantian. The true chi left in there is no longer black and white, but purple, and every drop looks like it is holding some mysterious Tao charm. I let one drop out and put my finger on it. What comes back names it plainly as true chi. A single drop, and grades it at Foundation Establishment Layer 1 of the Perfect Tao grade. Its listed effect covers performing techniques, casting spells, controlling objects, and drawing on heaven and earth. Time to check what that actually means. I point a finger, channel the new true chi, and release a golden blade technique at the early stage of Tier 2. The golden beam should run 1 yard long, and the one that leaves my hand runs 9. It slashes into the stone wall, carves a crack with no bottom to it, and hammers the Tier 2 high-grade defensive formation hidden behind the stone. The shield takes the hit with a dull, heavy note. A crack several yards long opens across its face, and the spirit stones stored inside the formation burn down fast to patch the gap. I used no momentum at all. Only a Tier 2 early stage spell that happens to sit at major achievement, and the power is almost a full force strike from a peak stage Tier 2 cultivator. It can be tighter than that. I release the golden blade technique again, let the 9-yard blade hang in front of me, and squeeze it with my divine sense down to 1 yard, and then down to half a yard. Then I slash. The golden core puppet steps in front of the blade and waves up a mana shield out of its golden core magic power. The golden blade breaks apart into points of light, while fine cracks spider across the shield. That is past Foundation Establishment peak stage, level with a Foundation Establishment Perfection cultivator. This is getting monstrous. I take a breath and tell myself that measuring against ordinary cultivators is meaningless. The honest comparison is a prodigy with a 5th grade Tao Foundation, or a talent from the last generation, and against those the gap should not be embarrassing. I shake my head at the restlessness in my chest, because I have started to sound arrogant. For all the noise, I still cannot beat a golden core stage cultivator, and my endurance is nowhere near theirs. Steady is still the only speed I have. I damp my aura down and leave with the golden core puppet. The back of Cloud Mist Mountain is thin on spiritual chi and looks like nothing has grown there in years. I clap my hands and run my Earth Spike talent in reverse, and the ground sinks away in pit after pit, laid out in rows. A wave of my hand drops 30,000 coffins out of nowhere into the bottoms of the pits, and a push of true chi rolls the soil back over all of them. The surface ends up looking much the way it did when I got here. I cup my hands toward the graves and wish the fellow Taoists in them dust to dust and earth to earth, and a better road in the next life. Standing on a treetop above 30,000 corpses, under that plain, unremarkable ground, I tell myself that nobody gets a warning before disaster, and that the only defense is being stronger when it comes. Then something pulls at me from the northeast. Far off in the sky, a sword light several thousand yards long cuts down at one patch of air, and a great cauldron appears out of nothing to take the blow. Ripples roll outward in a visible ring, and punch a hole clean through the cloud cover, and up inside the hole lightning crawls and rages. A black-red escape light tears west trailing a long black-red streak, and a blue light with a long tail runs it down from behind. Only then does the sword hum reach me, the whistle of that first strike, and the sound comes with thorns in it, aching against my skin. This is the aftermath of the aftermath. A thick, resonant voice rolls across the whole sky, calling old Demon Han by name and asking where he thinks he can run now. The answer is a low, shrill voice telling him to get lost, and every ear that catches it splits with pain and every face goes white. The two escape lights are gone over the horizon in the same breath. My heart lurches, because old Demon Han sits in Lee Songgong's memories of the demonic cultivators as the mastermind behind the whole disaster in the Hongmong branch. At Nascent Soul middle stage, someone has found him, and someone is hunting him to death. While I was busy building a Tao foundation, the world outside changed. Demonic cultivators have surfaced across the land, and the great sects had not sat on their hands about it, sending their experts out to put the demons down. I keep my eyes on the horizon and stay ready to dive into the earth on a heartbeat's notice. A stray fragment off a fight at that level would take the top off a mountain. Far away, the collisions keep going and keep fading, and I wonder how it ends. My guess is that old Demon Han does not fall this easily, because a thing that old, hidden that long, does not come out without a bag of preparations. I shake it off and go back to my immortal cave to settle my cultivation. Half a day later, the Mountain Master token starts vibrating. I have it out at once, and an imposing voice fills the room. He gives his name as Sect Leader Shim Song of the Hongmong branch of the Falling Cloud Sect, and orders every outpost and asset to take note. A moment ago, he says, the sect's experts joined forces and severely injured the mastermind of the demonic cultivators, destroying his physical body. His nascent soul escaped and may possess a cultivator to save itself. Every outpost and asset is to prepare its defenses and search for anything suspicious, disciples of the sect included, and to report upward when it matters. The demonic cultivators have polluted the spiritual veins, so cultivation is to be done cautiously and with a clear heart, guarding against any invasion of demonic chi. Anyone who finds that pollution in himself is to cast the heart-clearing art immediately and then go to the heart-clearing hall to burn the demonic chi out. Disciples outside the sect are to meditate and recuperate and not spend spiritual power freely. Cleansing demonic cultivators inside the sect's assets earns contribution points when the kill is recorded with a token. Wrecking a stronghold earns a great deal more, and the largest contributions get rewarded by headquarters directly. Then comes the part he calls a special reminder. Where the spiritual vein pollution has landed, a benign mutation has appeared alongside it, generating a spiritual object that merges into a cultivator on its own and lifts his cultivation aptitude. Even someone with no spiritual root at all can step onto the immortal path through it, and the thing has already surfaced hundreds of times inside the sect's territory. They are calling it a Tao root for now, and it comes in medium grade and low grade so far. A low-grade Tao root paired with a low-grade spiritual root works out about even with a medium-grade spiritual root, which makes it an opportunity the world rarely offers. He finishes by saying the Tao root favors whoever works hardest, that it merges into the body during cultivation without being asked, and that no disciple should mistake raw demonic chi for it. I listen the whole way through without a word. The token throws up lines of text after the voice ends, the detailed version of the notice, and folded into it is the complete heart-clearing art. So the demonic cultivator is finished just like that, I think, and of course he could not jump around forever. Then I stop. The sect has been played. I have walked through Lee Songgong's memory fragments, so I know what the demonic cultivators actually want. They want corpses for a sacrifice, enough to break a space seal and open a road to the demonic realm. The intelligence in that broadcast is all about polluted spiritual veins and knows nothing about the real goal. Every mind in the sect is bent on scrubbing the veins clean, and the scattered demonic cultivators are being treated as target practice, disciples sent out to hunt and clear them. It reads like a training exercise. Some disciples will die in training, and the sect has already decided that price is acceptable. That acceptable price is exactly what the demonic cultivator was buying. He wants the corpses of those training disciples, and the loose cultivators who die beside them, and he does not need all of them, only a portion. It is a beautiful piece of work, and I would admire it more if one detail were not sitting on my conscience. Those corpses have already been intercepted by me, so the real question is whether old Demon Han comes looking for me and settles it to the death. A voice outside the immortal cave announces that Li Xinhui requests an audience with the Mountain Master. I wave a palm and open the door, and she salutes me on the threshold. I ask whether the news from the sect reached her too, and she says it did. that the residence keeps a magical artifact for receiving messages, and the sect leader's word came through on it. I tell her to follow the sect leader's instructions and start teaching the heart-clearing art, and to let the hunting of demonic cultivators go entirely and keep everyone on their own duties. Since she knows the disciples under us better than anyone, I add, she is to watch for any strange behavior and bring it to me the moment she sees it. She accepts, then says there is one more matter worth reporting. I tell her to speak. Hwangyang Market has sent a letter, she says, claiming demonic cultivators have been showing up around their market lately and have already killed several loose cultivators. They are inviting the surrounding forces to join a hunt. They also say the formation over Cloud Mist Market is low grade and that we would be better off relocating near wholesale, with a Foundation establishment cultivator sent out to escort us. She asks what we should do. I turn the question around and ask what she thinks. After a pause, she says Hwangyang Market is not talking nonsense, and that demonic cultivators are reckless enough to target Cloud Mist Market. We would be in real danger if they did, and she has heard of small markets already wiped out entirely. We should prepare early, she says. I shake my head and tell her there is nothing to worry about, since this place is very safe and the demonic cultivators will not come here. She is to decline Hwangyang Market's offer. She looks at me hard for a moment and nods heavily. Right then, a disciple runs up to the door shouting an urgent report, and I tell him to speak. Word has just come in, he says, that loose cultivators found signs of a demon beast riot at Manjang Mountain, and that it looks like a beast tide. Survivors who fled back to the market are already spreading it. Li Xinhui's face changes at the words beast tide. I frown, because she raised this with me once before. A beast tide comes around roughly every 10 years, and this one was supposed to be a year or two out. It has arrived early. I tell her to get it verified fast, and she says she will send disciples out to investigate and hurries off. I mount my flying sword, take it up over Cloud Mist Mountain, and turn my eye of luck toward Manjang Mountain. Demonic chi is rising out of those distant forests in volume, packing itself into a dense black mass of luck, and the mass is already moving toward us quickly. An early beast tide and demonic chi behind it. Nothing about that is simple. Down in Cloud Mist Market, the loose cultivators are already coming apart. One is shouting that it is over, that the beast tide is coming, and the only place nearby with a Foundation establishment powerhouse stationed in it is Hwangyang Market. Another wails about the spirit rice he only just planted and asks whether he is supposed to walk away from it. A third asks him whether he wants to keep his life, since no small market can hold against a beast tide. With demonic cultivators turning up constantly, there has never been a better time to go. Most of them never trusted Cloud Mist Market in the first place, which is normal enough. Gong Dokum is sitting in a courtyard with his two companions. The short, loose cultivator says nervously that they should run, and the scar-faced man agrees that the place is too remote to be worth staying in. Gongdaeokum hesitates and says they should watch what the official disciples of Cloud Mist Mountain do, and flee only if the disciples hold. He says staying could be an opportunity, because the three of them are named disciples of the Cloud Mist Mountain Outer Sect now. Sharing the hardship might be the road to becoming official disciples. The scar-faced man asks, speechless, whether he is really thinking about rank at a moment like this. Gongdaeokum sighs and lays out the arithmetic. An official disciple draws 50 to 100 spirit stones a month in salary plus a stack of job allowances, and buys medicinal pills and magical artifacts at a steep discount. A man could resell supplies on that discount alone and make money doing it. An opportunity like that does not come twice. The short, loose cultivator wavers, and the scar-faced man decides the whole plan is unreliable and says nothing more, since his big brother has chosen to wait and see. While the three of them argue, other loose cultivators finish deciding. They stream out of the market entrance and start down the mountain in numbers, and Li Xinhui, holding my instructions, lets every one of them go. Inside the market, the shopkeepers hesitate too, and behind the shopkeepers sit small families and small forces, with no capacity to survive a catastrophe, all of them weighing the same question. Every one of those shopkeepers keeps glancing at the two shops at the center of the market. Both are known to be backed by something above Foundation establishment, and if those two do not run, perhaps nobody has to. Yusin Chal takes the news straight to his family. The family head replies that the Yu family has decided to send a Foundation establishment elder over to help. This is a fine opportunity to build a friendship with Mountain Master Bang, and Yusin Chal is to prepare the ground and handle the communication well. He answers happily that he will arrange all of it, then hurries out of the shop and sees Li So-san stepping out of the other one. A beautiful young woman walks behind Li So-san, and Yusin Chal barely looks at her, taking her for an attendant. He goes over to say hello, and his face locks up mid-greeting as he asks Brother Li whether he has broken through. Li So-san smiles and says he has, that his lord gave him a gift, 7 top-grade chi-gathering pills and 1 Foundation establishment pill, and that he swallowed them and made it. Yusin Chio's mouth twitches. Li So-san assumes he is on his way to see the Mountain Master as well and suggests they go together. Yu Xinqiu breathes in slowly because it feels like the Yu family is about to be left one more step behind. What he does not notice is how respectful Li Sosin is toward the woman walking at his back. Both parties come up to the mountaintop and ask for me at the gate of the detached courtyard, and since I knew they were coming, I tell them to walk to the immortal cave themselves. The three of them stop dead as soon as they are inside the courtyard. The spiritual chi here has reached the peak of Tier 1, one step short of climbing to Tier 2, and they trade glances full of astonishment. I am in my chair thinking when they reach the cave, and I stand to receive them, and I recognize the woman behind Li Sosan at first sight. I greet her as Junior Sister Li, and Li Mengyo returns a wry smile and a greeting to Senior Brother Bang. I ask what brings her into my marketplace. A traitorous demonic cultivator turned up inside the Hongmeng dynasty royal family. She says, and half the royal family went down with him, some killed and some imprisoned. She was not implicated, but she left the sect anyway to stay clear of suspicion, and she has settled in the neighboring territory, which makes her my neighbor now. She had meant to visit me alone and ran into this business instead, so the two parties arrive together. I nod and tell them to sit. Yu Xinqiu has gone quiet, because he knew this princess was the power standing behind Li Sosan, and her strength dwarfs the Yu family. And now she has come in person. I invite shopkeeper Yu to sit as well, and he thanks the mountain master and takes a seat. He speaks first, reporting that his family head learned of the beast tide bearing down on Cloud Mist Mountain, and has already dispatched a Foundation Establishment elder to help hold the place. I thank the Yu family warmly and say that one Foundation Establishment expert makes this mountain far safer. Li Mengyo offers her own hands next, saying that besides the generals holding her fief, she can send 2 Foundation Establishment cultivators, Li Sosan among them. I thank her quickly and tell them that with 3 Foundation Establishment experts on the wall, my Cloud Mist Mountain will stand like a fortress. I had expected to run from this tribulation, and everyone who stays will be rewarded generously once it passes. Yu Xinqiu's eyes light up, because that is precisely the reaction he came for. The medicinal pills traded last time did a great deal for the family, and the quantity was simply too small. And this looks like a chance to trade for more. For the Yu family, this beast tides is a stage. On the way back, he decides he will ask the family head for a second elder. We work through the defensive arrangements together. Both the Yu family and the Li family agree to send late-stage chi refining cultivators as well, which earns them more gratitude from me than they expected. Yu Xinqiu and Li Sosan withdraw, and I am left alone with Li Mengyo. She asks whether she may raise a matter, and I tell her to go ahead. Her mother, she says, comes from the Mang family, which was a Golden Core family once, and is diminished now but still formidable. The Hongmeng dynasty is unstable and showing every sign of a change of house, and the Mang family wants to put her name forward for the throne, except that she is still short of support. She asks whether I will work with her. She says it plainly and seriously, promising resources and her full backing, and offering to supply every urban Taoist classic my alchemy could ever call for. I sit there dumbfounded and tell her I never expected Junior Sister Li to trust me enough to say something like that out loud. None of it is secret anymore, she says. The king of Hongmeng still holds the throne, but the various sects have already ordered him to abdicate and hand the seat over shortly. Every prince and princess with a claim is out collecting allies. Even the one under house arrest is quietly reaching out to family members. After that comes the part where everyone picks a side, because inside the Hongmeng dynasty, a force that stays neutral only makes itself a target for all the claimants at once. I rub my brow. Demonic chaos, a beast tide, a war of succession, and every one of them can kill me. I tell her there is no rush on this. She nods and says it was only an invitation, and asks me to think it over carefully, and I say I will, and she smiles and leaves as gracefully as she came. I take a reading of her realm on the way out, and she is sitting at the peak of Chi refining level 6. That has top-grade medicinal pills written all over it. Some people really do climb fast. In the mountain forest, a black bear wrapped in black chi throws its head back and roars. Demon beasts across the whole slope catch the sound and stampede in one direction. The bear's aura has reached the peak of Tier 2. Elsewhere, a demon bull with blood-red eyes drives forward through everything in its path, smashing trees and boulders into fragments as it goes, with a whole crowd of demon beasts running at its heels. One after another, they burst out of their territories with auras that would stop a man's heart. The weakest of them sits at the early stage of Tier 2, and some of them reach Tier 3. On the highest peak, a snow-white little mouse watches the distance with cold eyes. It asks which of the 5 major sects could ever have imagined it holding a Tier 4 cold jade rat. It answers itself that the beast tide it has stirred up will more than cover the requirements of the blood sacrifice. Once the space seal breaks, it says, the demon cultivator army of the demonic realm comes down, and the sects will kneel with nothing left to resist with. Old Demon Han laughs into the wind, because every link of his scheme fits the next one. He arranged the possession of the cold jade rat long ago, purely to paralyze the 5 major sects, The beast tide he is about to unleash was never mainly about destruction, since corpses are the point. The demonic veins in the tide are both covers, and the corpses and the blood sacrifice are the truth underneath. He needs human race spirit blood will run a blood sacrifice strong enough to tear the space seal that human powerhouse has set. So the more bodies the better. Soon, he tells himself. Soon. He lets out one strange squeaking note and the sound rolls outward in waves. Millions of demon rats turn themselves into couriers, running his orders through the earth in every direction. His eyes and his feelers spread flat across the whole Hongmong dynasty. Guided by those orders, countless demon beasts turn on the gathering places of cultivators, and Cloud Mist Mountain sits inside the target list. He knows Li Songgong was posted there, and he has heard about the tunnels Li Songgong dug, so he simply orders the demon beasts to leave the tunnels alone. Everyone above those tunnels goes on the hunting list instead. Demonic cultivators fold themselves into the tide and attack alongside the beasts. Their job is to rip open the defenses of the spirit cultivators so the demon beasts can drive straight through and wreck more. They are also the main body of the corpse collection, handing what they gather to the demon rats. The rats haul the bodies underground and stack them in the Cloud Mist Mountain tunnels for storage, which closes the loop perfectly. Every piece of it is beautiful, and the plan has no flaw anywhere in it. Half a day later, a flying boat cuts across the sky and settles near Cloud Mist Mountain, with dozens of cultivators standing on its deck. The Yu family has arrived. One Foundation establishment elder looks down at the quiet mountain and remarks that they are here, while the other sweeps the foot of the slope and asks where Yu Sinchul is. Yu Chubek tells him to go down first, and the whole party leaves the boat and starts up from the base. Halfway along the path, Jipyung Ho nudges Yu Hichung and says someone is coming. Yu Hichung picks out the family emblem on the group, recognizes his own people, and sends word to Yu Sinchil at once. Yu Chubek introduces himself as the Yu family's Foundation establishment elder, comes specifically to support Mountain Master Bang. Jipyung Ho welcomes the honored guests, says the Mountain Master is already waiting up in the villa, and invites them to fly straight to the top. Yu Chubek thanks the little friend for the word. Right then, Yu Sinchil comes down the mountain on a flying sword, lands, and greets Elder Chubak and Elder Pungsen. Yu Chubak tells him to lead the way, and says they will walk it, and the group starts up the stairs. Yu Chubak waves a soundproof barrier around them and asks for the specifics, and why a second elder was requested. Cloud Mist Mountain sits close to Manjang Mountain, Yu Sinchal says, which means more danger here than elsewhere, and an extra elder is an extra layer of insurance. He adds that a daughter of the Li family also thinks highly of Mountain Master Bang and has sent 2 Foundation establishment cultivators of her own, so the Yu family can hardly come up short. Yu Pungsan frowns and asks whether a mere alchemist is worth this much effort to befriend. Yu Chubek points out that Yu Pungsan does not practice alchemy and so would not know. An alchemist who can refine high-grade qi gathering pills already matches an early-stage Tier 2 alchemist in skill, he says, and is entirely capable of refining Foundation establishment pills. Bang Wan is young on top of it, with enormous room left to grow. Yu Pungsan asks what happens if Bang Wan did not refine them, since the man has never actually claimed to be an alchemist. The family already had veteran alchemists appraise the pills. Yu Chubek answers, and every one of them was refined recently, so even if another hand made them, that hand is connected to Bang Wan. What the Yu family wants, he says, is a channel to high-grade medicinal pills, because a steady supply means many more Foundation establishment cultivators in the clan. If this alchemist ever learns to refine golden core pills, the family gets a road to becoming a golden core family, and there is no version of that where befriending him now turns out badly. Yu Pungsan nods and lets it drop. Yu Sinchil listens from the side and quietly lets out a breath, because Yu Pungsan was the first elder dispatched and he would never have talked the man around alone. Offending Mountain Master Bang over an elder's pride would have been a disaster, and calling for a second elder saved him. I received the 2 of them at the villa on the summit. I welcome the Foundation establishment seniors warmly and thank them on behalf of Cloud Mist Villa and Cloud Mist Market for coming. The immortal caves are already prepared for the 2 seniors and their clansmen. Yu Chubek laughs that I have gone to too much trouble and asks how the demon beast tide stands. I look out toward Manjang Mountain and tell him plainly that the tide is still gathering, that it may break in 2 more days, and that reconnaissance puts its intensity far beyond anything before it. He tells me not to worry, since he is at the middle stage of Foundation establishment with long experience against Tier 2 demon beasts, and with his clansmen behind him, this mountain will hold. I hand the defense to him and mention that the Li family's Foundation establishment cultivators have already arrived, so introductions are in order. 2 men are waiting in the reception room. I present Li Sosan at early stage Foundation establishment and Li Chiel at middle stage. Yu Chubei cups his hands to Li Chiel and suggests that since they will be fighting together, they trade a summary of what each of them does. Li Chiel is a steady middle-aged man in battle armor who looks more like a general than a cultivator. He says he works at close quarters, with his physical body cultivation at the middle stage of foundation establishment. YouTube brightens and says he is a spell user whose comprehension of momentum has reached 30%. Lee Chuok looks startled and says 30% puts him level with a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator. YouTube calls it a few slight insights, and Lee Chuol tells him he is far too modest and that Cloud Mist Mountain is safe with him on it. I listen and file it away. Foundation establishment cultivators comprehend the first 50% of momentum and golden core cultivators take the second 50, and that is simply the normal shape of the road. Anyone whose comprehension ability is good enough to squeeze an extra 10% out of a single realm ends up standing over everyone his own age. The four of them warm to each other over the next while, and the disciples of the Yu family and the Li family move into the market and start laying defenses. The loose cultivators watch foundation establishment powerhouses walking their streets and congratulate themselves on staying, since this may be safer ground than Huangyang Market after all. Another day goes by. From the summit I can see a cloud of demon beast aura closing on us out of Manjiang Mountain, and nothing about the shape of it is encouraging. The black-scaled rat comes up out of the ground and scurries to my feet. Little Black has grown into the middle level of Tier 1 high grade by now, which is not slow at all. It squeaks, and the meaning arrives in my sea of consciousness through the Spirit Beast contract. A high-level demon rat, it tells me, has been gathering the local demon rats and handing out orders. I ask whether those orders are to relay messages and haul cultivator corpses, and Little Black squeaks that they are. My eyes narrow, because cultivator corpses are a demonic cultivator's requirement, and no high-level demon rat has any reason to want them. Unless the rat is somebody's demonic pet. Little Black's transmission also tells me that the demon beasts headed this way may run as high as Tier 3. Their main target is not my mountain at all, but Huangyang Market 300 miles off. There is a serious problem buried in all of this. 2 hours later, Manjiang Mountain empties itself down the slope. The running of the herd rolls over the market like slow thunder. Cultivators fly up onto the rooftops to watch and lose all the color in their faces when they see the size of it. One of them stammers out the question of how many demon beasts that even is, and another guesses 10,000 at the very least. A third shouts that some of them are turning toward Cloud Mist Mountain. The four foundation establishment cultivators stare at the front edge of the tide with grim faces, and Yuchubak tells me that if the position becomes untenable, he will carry me off this mountain himself. I nod and keep my expression steady. Cloud Mist Mountain sits near Manjiang Mountain, and past our slope the land opens into a wide flat plain holding several large cities and countless villages, millions of mortals among them. Li Monggyo has already herded the mortals inside the walls with cultivators posted to guard them. But this tide is far past normal, and whether she can hold those cities is anyone's guess. A little beyond us stands Huangyang Mountain, with Huangyang Market on it. Then the full mass of demon beasts pours out of the Manjiang Mountain range and fans out in every direction, and a large share of them comes straight at us. Every cultivator on the mountain has his heart in his throat. The first wave reaches the foot of the slope and starts up the path toward the waist, while the cultivators line the inside edge of the formation, braced. Then, at one particular point, the leading troop hesitates, splits down the middle, and runs left and right around the body of the mountain instead. One cultivator asks in confusion why they will not come up. Another says that stretches the territory of a bovine herd, some 3,000 demon oxen, and wonders aloud whether demon beasts simply route around their own kind. The first man asks how he never knew a herd like that lived there. I gave the order days ago. The 12 spirit beasts and the demon beasts under them are holding every main road to the market and the summit and leaving the lateral paths wide open. So the tide climbs to the waist, turns, and runs around Cloud Mist Mountain to hammer somewhere else, and a great deal of it flows on toward Huangyang Mountain. Wave after wave whistles past the foot of the slope while every cultivator up here sweats and refuses to make a sound that might draw attention. Tens of thousands go by, top-grade Tier 1 packs among them, and if that mass had come uphill, there would be nothing left of us. Then a heavy demon ox reaches the waist and bellows at the herd blocking the road. Yuchubake locks his divine sense onto it and calls it a Tier 2 demon beast. I send word to the Great Strength Ox to open the way, since the Great Strength Ox is plainly outmatched, and my herd steps aside. The pitch-black demon ox charges up past the waist with a crowd behind it, though the crowd is thinned badly, a little over 2,000 instead of tens of thousands. It reaches the market entrance, opens its mouth and bellows again, and the whole 2,000 pour forward. The first of them slam into the market barrier, and the formation blazes with spiritual chi and throws back the impact of hundreds of bodies at once. The cultivators behind it flinch, then see the formation holding and snap out of it. Li Xinhui shouts at them to kill and earn contribution points, and takes a demon beast through the neck with her sword on the same breath. Spells come off the line in a wave and tear into the front rank. Gongdaeokium, only at Chi Refining level 4, picks a medium-grade Tier 1 demon beast, pinches a spell seal, and puts a flying sword through its eye, killing it where it stands. 400 contribution points and his face lights up. A medium-grade demon beast pays 400 points, which is 400 spirit stones, and he took it easily, far more safely than hunting out in the open. Behind the formation he only has to kill, and the market officials have image recording stones running so every kill can be exchanged for rewards afterward. He decides to be extravagant for once and pulls a fistful of talismans out of his storage pouch, because this is money lying on the ground. The other loose cultivators are doing the same to good effect. The chi refining cultivators of the Yu family and the Li family take on the late stage and peak tier 1 beasts, which lifts most of the weight off everyone else. The 4 foundation establishment cultivators do not move. They are all watching the black ox. Watching its followers die does not sit well with the ox, and it stamps and charges the market. Li Chiol calls that he will go first, breaks out through the formation, cuts through the herd, and drives his long spear at the ox's belly. Metal grates on something harder. The spear leaves a thin white line on the hide, and the defense does not break. His face changes and he shouts that this is a late-stage tier 2 demon beast and calls for help. The other 3 come out of the formation without hesitating, ride their magical artifacts up, and start working the ox from range. Yu Chubak pulls the fire spiritual chi in the air into his spell, and condenses a fire python that lunges at the black ox. The ox roars, golden light flares along its horns, and it rams the python apart and comes for Yu Chubak, whose face goes tight. Li So-san whips an iron chain out in an entanglement and trips it, but the ox plants an iron hoof on the chain and pins it flat. Li Chiol takes the opening and drives his spear at the beast from directly behind, and the ox feels the cold coming and twists away, which at least kills its charge. Yu Peng-san sends 2 flying swords in from both flanks and opens 2 small wounds and nothing more. 4 against 1, and nobody is winning this quickly. From inside the formation I read the fight instead of joining it. Yu Chubak's true essence fluctuations run at least twice as strong as Li Chiol's at the same realm. With 30% fire momentum layered on top, his attacks land far harder, which points at a medium-grade Dao foundation under everything. Every spell he throws forces the Black Demon Ox to answer head-on, sometimes with its innate spells. Against the other 3, the Ox does not bother defending at all, and it collects small injuries for the laziness. The 3 of them look busier, but Yu Chubak has been the whole weight of this from the start. Whenever the Ox turns to close on him, the other 3 drag it back. Li Chiol works its soft spots specifically, so it has to dodge or answer him instead. A close combat beast with 4 hooves is simply outnumbered by 8 hands, and it stays pinned. Then Yu Chubak's head comes around toward Manjang Mountain as though he has felt something, and he shouts at everyone to finish this fast. Li Chiol shouts back that he will hold it still and Yu Chubak should take the opening. Blood-red flame erupts off Li Chiol, and it is not fire at all, it is his own essence burning. The flame runs down his arms into the long spear and his aura climbs with it, and he roars and drives the spear home. This time the ox goes flying and rolls across the ground. Li So-san whips out a chain artifact and binds its 2 front limbs. Yu Peng-san spots the gap and puts a flying sword through its eye, and the beast screams with blood running down its face. Yu Chubak's fire python coils the whole body and sears black tracks into the hide with a sound like grease on a pan. The ox thrashes, floods itself with golden light, snaps the chains, forces the sword out of its eye, and tears the fire python apart. All 4 of them look delighted, because it just spent its innate power to do that. Its strength drops on the spot, its wounds are already serious, and the fight has turned into a foregone thing. I nod, relieved, since it worked out without costing me anything. The 2,000 and more Tier 1 demon beasts are mostly dead by now under the rest of the cultivators. I push the market's formation shield at 100 yards and pull it back in, sweeping every corpse in the path inside the light. Li Xinhui takes the lead, hauling the bodies in while I set the disciples to collecting spoils. Nobody squabbles over the corpses, since every one of them has already made money and is waiting on the settlement. The talk on the walls turns cheerful fast. One of them laughs that he never expected a beast tide to become an opportunity. Another tells Brother Ju he counted at least 4 kills off him, and asks whether that comes to 1,000 spirit stones. Brother Ju waves it off and says the man killed 4 himself, and will do just as well. A third looks at the black ox and wonders aloud what a late-stage Tier 2 demon beast pays out. A fourth asks what kind of background the owner of this market has. To pull 4 foundation establishment cultivators up here, and says he will sleep easy living in this place from now on. The faces around the formation have all loosened. Then an eagle cry comes down out of the sky and every head snaps up. A dark cloud is coming in from the direction of Manjang Mountain, and the cloud is a swarm of flying demon beasts. At the front of it is a giant eagle with a violent aura at the Tier 2 peak, flanked by 2 more birds at Tier 2 medium grade. Every straggler behind them is Tier 1 high grade or better. They are closing on Cloud Mist Mountain fast. Yu Chubak looks genuinely rattled and tells me the situation is urgent, and I should prepare to evacuate. Every eye on the mountain turns to me. The loose cultivators have gone white. Named disciples like Gongdale Gam are eating their own hearts out with regret, because nobody would have stayed here waiting to die if they had known a Tier 2 peak Great Demon was coming. This is not a thing they can stand against. I take a deep breath and pull out a gorgeously worked talisman, where all of them can see it. I tell them I am the Cloud Mist Mountain Master, and that I could hardly find it in me to abandon my disciples and my customers. This is a Tier 3 talisman, a spirit sealing talisman, which can lift a man's combat power to the Tier 2 peak for a while. Yuchubek's voice cracks as he asks whether that is the legendary spirit sealing talisman, and Lee So-san asks what a spirit sealing talisman even is. Still trading blows with the ox, Yuchubek explains it for him. A cultivator at Golden Core or above can, when death is close, pour a lifetime of cultivation into his life-bound treasure. With talisman methods, it condenses into a talisman treasure that lets a low-level cultivator fight across realms, reusable many times over. Everyone here knows what a talisman treasure is, and everyone knows what one is worth. Some Golden Core cultivators, he goes on, never had a life-bound treasure at all, so they pour that cultivation into a special sealing talisman instead and refine a single-use version. The effect is close to the real article, handing a low-level cultivator a portion of the dead man's cultivation for a while. The consumption is enormous, and the thing burns out in one go, so its value per cost is far worse than a talisman treasure. It almost never appears on the market. Understanding spreads through the crowd, and the way they look at the talisman turns hungry. My fingers pause on it, because I never expected anybody here to recognize the design. The paper in my hand is an ordinary Tier 2 Chi recovery talisman that does nothing but speed up recovery. Since he has been kind enough to explain it for me, I slap it onto my chest without a flicker of shame. My aura climbs on cue, up out of Chi Refining level 7, through peak Chi Refining, and straight into the Foundation Establishment realm, and it does not stop there. I run the Frenzy Breath technique underneath it, which is the exact inverse of the breath concealment technique and exists to inflate a man's presence. It was invented for bluffing demon beasts in the wild, and I am using it on cultivators. Under 100 dumbfounded stares, my aura rises to the Tier 2 peak and settles. My gaze goes cold and my fingers seal, and I call the golden sword to condense. Sword chi leaves my fingertip and thickens into a blade as solid as forged metal, while every scrap of metal attributes spiritual chi around me pours into it. I slash. The golden sword chi crosses the field with a sound like silk tearing. It punches clean through the black demon ox's defense, while the 4 of them still have it pinned, and buries itself in the body. The ox shudders once and goes down. A Tier 2 high-grade demon beast, dropped in one strike, and it does not matter that the beast was already hurt. Everyone watching is stunned by it. Yuchubek pulls in a cold breath and says the momentum of heaven and earth behind that strike was ferocious. Every trace of metal spiritual chi within 100 yards got dragged into it, and he asks whether that could possibly be a perfect metal momentum. The rest of them are busy marveling that I would burn a treasure like that for one small Tier 1 market. The eagle screams again, and the flock is on us. Yuchubek names it grimly as a Tier 2 peak demon beast, a red-clawed rock eagle. Its claws are like fire and its feathers like earth. A dual-attribute earth-fire beast that carries both offense and defense in the same body. He says the 4 of them will hold the rest of the flock and asks whether I can take the eagle. I tell him I will try. Nobody has time for more than that, and the 5 of us go up on our swords to meet them. The red-clawed rock eagle picks me out immediately as the strongest aura in the air, and a trace of demonic chi flickers through its eyes. As it does, I snort and wave a golden sword into being and send it. It streaks across the sky as a line of light, while the eagle beats hard sideways and fires dozens of burning feathers back at me. My flying sword lights gold, the metal spiritual chi in the air comes to it, and the perfect metal momentum shoves me across the gap fast enough that the feathers pass through empty air. 1 probe each, and both of us understand the other is not simple. Below us, Li Chial is already inside the flock with a spear, threading between bodies while flying demon beasts scream and drop. Yuchubek fights 2 middle stage Foundation Establishment birds by himself with a running string of fire spells, and the last 2 work through the chi refining beasts with one eye on me. The screams of its subordinates make the eagle look back, and it throws dozens of fireballs down at Li Chiol. Li So-san shouts a warning, and Li Chiol turns and throws up what defense he can, and slips most of them, but several land. His true essence shield breaks like paper, and the fireballs go into him, and he spits blood and tumbles backward. Alive only because his body refining is solid. Getting distracted in the middle of a fight with me is a mistake. I trigger the Tier 2 golden sword technique, and 15 golden swords condense in the air in front of me. They cross into position, and I lay a simple sword chi formation over them with a Tier 2 formation master's methods. The 15 swords draw long arcs toward the eagle, and the formation's momentum pushes their speed up by 30%. The eagle reacts and spreads its wings to slide away. except that its fireballs at Li Chiol already cost it that window. A ring of earthy yellow shield snaps up around it instead, and there is contempt in its eyes because it knows what cultivator attacks do to that shell. It is wrong about this one. The metal momentum sleeping inside the sword chi erupts on contact, and the swords are sharp past anything it has met, their armor piercing sitting at a level nothing that size should carry. The first sword goes through the shield and shatters it, and the other 14 keep coming. They punch into the body one after another, and feathers that harden that tough do not slow them at all. The eagle wails exactly the way its subordinates did. Earthy yellow light floods out of it and snaps all 14 blades of sword chi, and the effort tears its own wounds wide open and throws blood across the sky. Li Chiol steadies himself in time to see it and looks shaken, since one hit from that beast put him on his back, and now the beast is wearing the same damage. I give it nothing. 9 more golden swords condense and go, and the eagle panics and runs for Manjiang Mountain, and the swords are faster. All 9 bury themselves in it. Its aura drops off a cliff, and it falls at an angle into the forest below. I ride my flying sword down after it, and a few breaths later I come back up dragging the corpse behind me while the whole mountain stares. With their king dead, the flock's morale breaks apart, and the 4 Foundation Establishment cultivators chase the pieces down, killing both middle-stage Foundation Establishment birds. I stow the corpse and fly over to them, letting my aura sag as I come. It slides from peak Foundation Establishment to late stage, then drops off early stage Foundation Establishment down below the Chi Refining realm. Finally, it settles at the peak of Chi Refining level 8, all of it a costume. I tell them, with as much surprise as I can fake, that I did not expect the Spirit Sealing Talisman to leave me any residue at all. My realm seems to have gained a little from it. Yu Chubek sighs that a little gain is nothing next to what that talisman was worth. I laugh it off and say I also came away with a tier 2 peak demon corpse and the experience of a battle above my realm, which will do my cultivation no harm at all. Then I ask Senior Li Chiol about his injury. His blood and chi already look far better, and he says he has taken a healing medicinal pill and will be whole again after a few days of rest. He adds that the strength of a tier 2 peak demon beast is genuinely terrifying, and that a fraction of one attack put him down. Anyone without real body refining would have lost half his life to it. Talisman or not, he says, killing the thing proves my combat talent is frightening, and the younger generation deserves to be feared. I cut my hands, thank all of them, promise everyone a full share of the trade to come, and suggest we go down before we draw anything else. We land in the market to a crowd that cannot stop staring. At Huangyang Market, 12 Foundation Establishment cultivators are holding the line, 4 from the Nongso Sect and 8 more from other forces, with the whole market's cultivators behind them. It is not going well. Tens of thousands of demon beasts have massed outside the walls, more than 20 of them at Tier 2, and though the 12 throw everything they have behind the formation is visibly dimming. The Nongso Sect's Foundation Establishment disciples can read the ending from here. Holding on only means the market falls later instead of sooner, with every one of their fighters ground down first. So the new market master sends a voice transmission to each Foundation Establishment cultivator in turn. He names himself as Dongbang Yubon and tells them plainly that this is already a defeat, that Huangyang Market cannot be held, and that scattering now is the only option left. The formation will stand a little longer, he says, which is enough time to get out, and after that every man's life is in his own hands. He has nothing better to offer. The tide came in harder than anyone predicted, and will crack the defenses long before help arrives, so he is cutting his losses and giving the market up. When another Foundation Establishment cultivator asks where they are supposed to run, he says he is taking his own disciples to the Nongso Sect branch, and that anyone who wants to come is welcome. He explains nothing further and calls the Nongso Sect disciples together, which sends a wave of panic through the market. Cultivators watch the other Foundation Establishment forces packing their people up, and finally understand how bad this is. Loose cultivators crowd the Nongso disciples, asking whether the market master is really evacuating and insisting he take them along, telling him he cannot abandon them. Something flickers behind Dongbang Ubong's eyes as he listens. He has not forgotten that the last batch of Nongso Sect disciples died to demonic cultivators near Cloud Mist Mountain, and that whatever the immediate cause, the whole affair started at Cloud Mist Market. That grudge had been waiting for a use. He had meant to move against Cloud Mist Mountain in his own time, and the beast tide made all of those plans worthless. The spies he planted are still feeding him news, and the news is that Cloud Mist Mountain came through the tide intact. It sits badly with him. His Tier 2 market could not hold, and a Tier 1 market survives. Since he has to run anyway, he decides he might as well leave a knife behind him. He raises his voice to the loose cultivators and tells them Huangyang Market can no longer be held and that they are making a strategic retreat off Huangyang Mountain. Nearby Cloud Mist Mountain turned the beast tide back successfully, he says, and is an excellent place to shelter. He tells them to make for it and to get ready, since he will open a hidden underground passage at the rear of the market. Whether they live, he says, is a matter of their own luck. Faces change all through the crowd. The ones who fled Cloud Mist Market for this place are the sickest of all. They could have sat out the whole disaster in safety, and now they have to run back through a killing field to reach it. Nobody gets long to sit with that. Dongbang Yubong leads the Nyongso Sect disciples to the rear, opens the passage and takes his group down into it. The other Foundation establishment forces are already packed and file in behind him, with loose cultivators scrambling to keep up. Above them, the formation is still stubbornly upright, but the spirit stones feeding its heart are draining at a frightening rate, and the beasts outside are hammering the shield in relentless waves. Everyone left above ground pours into the tunnel with everything they have. Dongbang Yubong comes out at a cliff at the foot of the mountain and finds several demon beasts standing at the exit. He kills all of them with a single sword stroke, and sweeps the bodies into his storage pouch so the blood scent does not spread. This exit is finished, he says, since the beasts will sniff it out shortly. Another Foundation establishment disciple asks where they go now. His face goes cold, and he says a straight run for the Nyongso Sect would drag a whole army of demon beasts home with them. They have to break the trail first, and it happens that Cloud Mist Mountain is still standing. They will go there and use Cloud Mist Mountain to shake the pursuit off. The others agree at once and call it a good idea, and not one of them thinks there is anything wrong with it, though it plainly buries everyone living on that mountain. Better a fellow Taoist than oneself. With lives on the table, nobody is bothering with right and wrong. Over a dozen flying boats lift off and skim low toward Cloud Mist Mountain. The Foundation establishment teams that surface after them split, some running for their own territories and some falling in behind the Nyongso Sect. The loose cultivators spill out of the tunnel and scatter in every direction. A good portion of them work their way around toward Cloud Mist Mountain, because Dongbang Yubong's suggestion did exactly what he wanted it to do. Up on the mountain, the sharper-sensed beasts have already noticed the market emptying, and large numbers peel off to hunt for the trail. With nobody left to feed it, the formation breaks, and demon beasts flood the market to wreck it, find the tunnel mouth, and pour down after the scent. The herd comes off Huangyang Mountain and locks onto the runners one group at a time. Low-level loose cultivators fleeing blindly are cut down in numbers, with no chance at all, because the beasts move far too fast. Looking back, Dongbang Yubong can see black dots strung across the sky behind them. Flying demon beasts that mark positions from a distance and steer the ground herd along, and they will not shake loose. He grinds his teeth and asks whether these things have grown souls, then shouts at his people to keep running, warning that several of the flyers are tier 2 at medium and high grade. Streaks of flying boat light punch through the cloud with the herd strung out behind them. The tier 2 beasts run down the Foundation establishment teams, and the tier 1 beasts take the chi refining teams, and the herd is not interested in letting anyone go. Cultivators die one after another. And the strange part is what happens next, because the beasts do not eat a single corpse. Hidden demonic cultivators gather the bodies up instead, and once a batch is together it goes down a rat hole, and the demon rats carry it away. On Cloud Mist Mountain, Li Chiol and Li So-san come to take their leave of me. Li Chiol salutes with cupped fists and says the princess is in a critical position and needs their support, so he has come specifically to say goodbye. I thank him for what junior sister Li has done on my behalf, and hand over a batch of medicinal pills. He is to deliver them to her and settle the payment later once her troubles are behind her, with 20% off this time. Li Chiol takes the storage pouch, glances inside, and his pupils shrink to points. There are at least 5,000 medicinal pills in there, and while most are not top grade, they will cover an emergency several times over. He thanks me gravely on the princess's behalf, and I tell him that people in the same position should look after one another. Then he raises a hand and takes most of his cultivators away toward the cities Li Mangyo is holding, where they are still fighting the tide. Yu Chubak steps up next. Word has just reached him that the Yu family's assets inside the Hongmeng dynasty have been hit by the tide as well, and they are leaving to relieve them. Since he came prepared with spirit stones, he asks whether he might buy medicinal pills from me first. I tell him that is no trouble at all, that I carry tier 1 and tier 2 pills, including a healthy stock of spirit returning pills and essence returning pills, all of excellent quality. He looks genuinely startled that a place like this has tier 2 pills sitting on a shelf. I explain that I am selling on behalf of a senior, so 20% is the deepest discount I can arrange. He says 20% is more than enough and mentions that he has brought 10 million spirit stones and would like to spend all of them. I hand him the manifest and he pulls in a cold breath over it. He skips everything else and puts his eyes straight on the Foundation establishment pills. The low grade lifts the odds of Foundation establishment by 20% and runs 1,000 medium grade spirit stones apiece, with 5 left. The medium grade lifts them by 30% at 2,000 each, with 2 left. The high grade lifts them by 40% at 5,000 each, with 3 left. The top grade lifts them by a full 50% at 20,000 each, and there are 5 of those. He stops there. A top-grade Foundation establishment pill carries a 50% success rate on its own, and any decent set of preparations adds 20 or 30 more. Once a cultivator's own odds go on top of that, swallowing one means a 90% chance of breaking through. 20,000 medium-grade spirit stones is a fair price for that, and the real problem has always been finding one at all, so buying one is pure profit. His 10 million low-grade spirit stones come out to exactly 5 of them. He asks, with more excitement than he means to show, whether he can take all 5. Normally not, I tell him, since top-grade pills fetch more under an auctioneer. The Yu family stands on good terms with Cloud Mist Villa and sent 2 Foundation establishment experts across the country to help. And a courtesy like that has to be repaid. He thanks me from the bottom of his heart. 5 top-grade Foundation establishment pills for 10 million low-grade spirit stones is several years of Yu family savings, and it is still cheap for what he is walking away with. I tell him that since he has decided, he should come with me, because the top-grade pills are not kept by me. That stops him for a beat, and then he follows. We stop at the mouth of an immortal cave, and I bow and announce that Bang One requests an audience. A raspy voice inside tells us to come in, and Yu Chubek's face goes blank. Inside, an old man sits with his back to us, and the instant Yu Chubek lays eyes on him, a full golden core pressure drops over his body. His expression collapses, his legs go out from under him, and I catch his arm before he hits the floor. I tell old Seong that this man wishes to exchange for 5 top-grade Foundation establishment pills, and only then does the aura pull back. Yu Chubek stands there, dragging air into his lungs with no color left in his face. The old man flatly tells him to hand over the spirit stones. Yu Chubek produces the storage pouch. I take it, check the contents, and report to old Song that the amount is correct. A wave of the old hand sends 5 bottles floating over, and Yu Chubek scrambles to catch them. The old man tells us to get out. I set the storage pouch on the table, take my leave respectfully, and pull Yu Chubek back through the entrance. He only starts breathing properly once we are outside. That pressure shook him badly, and he is certain it was Golden Core stage, possibly late stage, possibly even peak, which means the man standing behind me runs deep enough to be worth worrying about. I keep my voice low and tell Senior Yu that this cannot be repeated to anyone, his family head at the very most, and that the consequences of a leak need no spilling out. He agrees immediately. As I walk him further off, he thanks me warmly and says the Yu family accepts the favor. I wave it away and give him something more useful. Next time he comes to trade for medicinal pills, I tell him he should bring ancient texts, antiquities, or any strange and rare treasure he can lay hands on. Old Seong has a taste for that sort of thing, and even damaged high-tier magic treasures will do. He nods seriously and promises to report it to the family head and gather the goods properly, and I tell him casually that I will leave it to him. He stows the pills, says his farewells, and the Yu family party leaves in a hurry, though they leave Yu Sinchiel behind to hold the place. Both groups are gone, and I am about to start sorting the spoils when something tugs at me. I fly to the peak and look toward Wangyang Mountain. Dozens of flying boats are coming straight at us, and behind them the sky is dark with demon beasts. The cultivators crowding those decks all look terrified, which makes them refugees, and refugees do not explain why every one of them is running at my mountain. Then the boats reach the edge of Cloud Mist Mountain, swing around the slope and peel away in another direction entirely. They are handing the disaster to me and riding out the other side. I understand the whole plan in one breath, and it is a remarkably stupid way to die. My eyes narrow, and I trigger the Tier 2 top-grade formation, the cloud-turning rain-overturning formation. The mists of Cloud Mist Mountain, ordinary a moment ago, begin to boil, and a wall of white swallows all dozens of flying boats at once. The cultivators who were about to slip clean past me find themselves inside a ghost wall with no way out of it. And at that exact moment, the demon beast swarm arrives on Cloud Mist Mountain. Someone aboard the lead flying boat cries out, and Dong Bangubong takes one look at the tumbling mist ahead, goes grim, and names it a formation. Their formation master identifies it faster. He calls it the Tier 2 top-grade cloud-turning rain-covering formation, a grand formation that entraps, deceives, gathers spiritual chi, and kills. Dongbang Ubong asks whether it can be broken, and there is panic under the question. The formation master says he needs time to deduce where the path of life lies. He brings out a compass and strikes seal after seal onto the plate until beams of light wash into the mist and formation patterns flare. Destruction has always been easier than construction. He could never raise a grand formation like this one, but finding the way out of it should be within him. It is not. A few breaths in, he knows something is wrong, because every branch he follows opens into another he cannot read. He blurts out that the cloud-turning rain-covering formation should not be this complex, and wonders aloud whether the builder integrated a comprehension of momentum past 50%. Comprehension of the Taoist methods folds into a formation, and momentum lets it draw on heaven and earth directly, so the more power it mobilizes, the harder it hits. Sweat beads along his hairline while his hands blur through the seals, and the more patterns his light drags out, the worse the terror on his face gets. Dongbang Yubong feels the shape of it coming and asks him again how it stands. The formation master tells him to wait. Whoever set this thing folded a trace of concept variation into it and forced the whole formation up a full level, so solving it will take far longer than he estimated. Then he coughs up blood, backlash from a calculation that has been wrong for a while. What he actually means, and does not say, is that there is no path of life to find. Breaking it by force would be the practical answer, but a pack of Foundation establishment cultivators does not break out of a formation laid down by someone who works in concept. The mist rolls hard. A Tier 2 high-grade gray-winged tit shoves a yard-long head out of the white, killing intent in its dark pupils, and every face on the boats loses color. The bird screams once, and after that the mist keeps opening, demon beast after demon beast pouring out until the boats are ringed. Dongbang Ubong stands stunned for a moment, then turns toward Cloud Mist Mountain, cups his hands and calls out to Mountain Master Bang. He names himself the new market master of Huangyang Market, offers that there may have been a misunderstanding, and asks me to bear with it for 3 million spirit stones. The voice goes out and the mist swallows it whole, since not even sound gets out of my formation. I hear him anyway, standing at the peak with the whole basin open under my divine sense, and I do not blink. 3 million spirit stones. He is not making an offer. He is waving a coin at a beggar. 300 million would not have moved me either, because a man who steers a beast tied onto my mountain without so much as a hello has already picked his ending. Whether he meant it changes nothing. Getting nothing back, he starts to fray. 10 million he calls, and then 100 million, swearing it is the highest number he can reach. Then he starts in about demonic cultivators surfacing and demon beasts running loose, and how this is the moment for cultivators to hold each other up. He promises to report the kindness to his master and come back in person to thank me. Below him the mist keeps turning, and the beasts keep closing, the flying ones stooping, and the ground pack coming in low. Fireballs and flying blades and dropping thunder hammer the flying boat shields, until one of them shivers at the edges. Still nothing from me. That is when Dongbang Ubong understands what mountain he has walked into. A cultivator shouts that the shields will not hold, and Dongbang Ubong scans the sky with a black face and orders them down to raise a formation. They land against a rock wall and put their backs to it. The Foundation Establishment Formation Master and several lesser ones build an illusion formation. A defensive one is beyond them in the time they have, and would be smashed flat even if finished. An illusion at least scatters the herd so it can be killed in pieces. Sweating, he presses a Tier 2 top-grade formation core into the dirt, and a Tier 2 medium-grade illusion formation barely 100 yards across goes up. Dongbang Ubong says grimly that they should be able to last now. The Formation Master explains that the core came from his own master with the illusion pattern preset inside. The formation is only Tier 2 medium-grade, but his personal control pushes the effect to Tier 2 high-grade. Dongbang Ubong nods hard at that. By then, the demon beasts are plowing into the illusion, and the cultivators use the confusion to cut the herd apart and swarm each piece. Spell light detonates inside that 100-yard circle without a pause. The screaming belongs to beasts and men in roughly equal measure. I float above it with the soul-refining banner, shaking the banner surface in a slow rhythm. The suction sweeps the whole battlefield and does not care which side a soul came off. Demon beast and cultivator alike get stripped and hauled in, since souls at those realms are too thin to resist. I watch the fight run its course. With the illusion holding, his people grind the herd to a standstill, though the price is close quarters butchery and bodies stacking on both sides. When the last Tier 2 high-grade demon beast goes down, exactly 2 men are still standing, Dongbang Ubong and his formation master, both white to the lips. So I take hold of the formation. The mist turns over, black cloud packs across the sky, and the rain that comes down out of it falls as swords. An illusion formation is worth nothing against something that hits everywhere at once. Dongbang Ubong forces up a shell of true essence and goes bloodless doing it, then shouts that this is a formation attack and that Bang Wan dares to kill Nongso Sect disciples. He asks whether I want a war between the two sects, and says that watching was one thing, but joining in will get me hunted by the 5 Sects Alliance. I curl my lip and do not bother answering. If I kill him here, who is left to say I did it? And if somebody works it out anyway, so what? A handful of dead Foundation Establishment cultivators has never started a war between great sects. He thinks very highly of himself for a man standing in a puddle. Getting no answer, Dongbang Ubong asks his Formation Master whether any defensive formation is possible. The Formation Master smiles bitterly and tells him nothing here blocks. Then the rain finds him and Dongbang Ubong watches the man punch through where he stands. His own turn comes a breath later. What rises in him at the end is regret. Sharp and specific. He should have run for the sect from the start, since losing some disciples on the road would still have gotten most of them home. Dozens of raindrops go through him while he is still thinking it. His soul comes loose and something takes hold of it. He wonders whether this is the underworld, since he still thinks, and he feels himself dropped somewhere absolutely black with other souls drifting half visible around him. Chains have him before he can resist, and then his awareness goes out for good. Up on the slope, my golden core puppet reaches the killing ground and sweeps its storage ring across the field, gathering every scrap of loot and every corpse. My immortal cave is buried under storage pouches and storage rings. Hundreds of the large pouches sit heaped like small hills, and the entire commercial body of Huangyang Market has ended up on my floor. A quick sweep gives me 130 million spirit stones in hard currency, plus goods worth as much as 300 million more. Most of the goods are low-grade filler, though a few pieces have grades I cannot read at a glance, and those I set aside for decomposition later. None of it gets touched now. I spread my divine sense instead, and with the formation feeding it, my perception reaches half a mile past the edge of Cloud Mist Mountain. A small team of loose cultivators runs for the mountain and plunges headfirst into the mist without slowing. Behind them comes a small pack of demon beasts. I raise an eyebrow and leave the men alone, since they are running for my market. The beasts lose the scent the instant the mist turns over on them, and then the rain comes down and goes through their bodies in streaks. Soul after soul peels loose and flies up into the soul-refining banner. A spirit mouse head pops out of the dirt, and Little Black climbs up, opens a storage pouch, collects every carcass, and drops back into its tunnel. Watching the high-grade rat demon give orders taught me that much. I turned my attention the other way. More loose cultivators pour into Cloud Mist Mountain from every direction, and every demon beast that follows dies quietly wherever it stands. The mountain works like a mouth that never makes a sound while it eats. The beasts chase bait down my throat like stupid fish, arriving in ones and twos with no cohesion. Each little group killed before the next knows anything went wrong. That makes their threat almost nothing. The tens of thousands that chase the crowd out of Huangyang Market disappear into Cloud Mist Mountain until nothing is left. A clean slaughter, top to bottom. The mountain goes still. Inside the market, the cultivators who fled here watch the tree line, nerves still up, and one finally asks why the demon beasts never caught up. Someone answers that the pursuit seems to break off the moment anyone crosses into Cloud Mist Mountain. A third points at the mist and calls it a formation rather than weather, which explains for them how one mountain holds back a beast tide. A survivor of the earlier tide tells the newcomers that Mountain Master Bang already showed his divine might. Some special method let him put out peak Foundation establishment combat power, and standing near it was terrifying. The newcomers decide out loud that they will spend their time in Cloud Mist Market from now on, since every other market has proven unreliable. Loose cultivators want one thing: somewhere safe to cultivate. I am already sitting cross-legged at the core of the formation beneath the immortal cave, in a cultivation space I carved out for exactly this. 12 more spaces open off it, and my 12 spirit beasts hold station around me. A harvest this size deserves sorting, so I take a breath and start. Profit does not blind me here, because a beast tide on that scale is a symptom, and the disease behind it is still coming. What matters is turning resources into personal strength before the next storm lands. I begin with the spirit stones. Tens of millions of them go into decomposition and come apart into raw spiritual chi. The flood pours into me faster than anything I have ever channeled, my sea of consciousness and Dantian and physical body all drinking at once. I carry a heavenly spiritual root now. All 3 foundation establishment cultivation techniques stand at perfection, and stacked on that are the perfect Tao foundation and the Tao origin itself. My cultivation speed goes somewhere frightening, my whole body a vortex that devours spiritual chi without any sign of filling. The Earth attribute talent I absorbed a while back, the one that strengthens meridians, is the only reason a torrent like this does not tear my channels open. My Dantian measures 12,000 times the volume of the worst cultivator alive, which sounds enormous until I set it against the people I actually have to beat. A normal heavenly spiritual root foundation already carries a Dantian at least 512 times in ordinary cultivators, and a good one clears 1,000. Give a prodigy the habit of comprehending each cultivation technique from the first layer of chi refining and driving every layer to perfection, and the number climbs past 30,000. Measured that way, my Dantian is only about 12 times the same level prodigies, and slightly behind the true monsters. Those figures are volumes, which flatters them badly, since by radius my Dantian is only 23 times in ordinary cultivators, and the gap to a prodigy is 2 or 3 times. My speed at least is not in question. I feel out the road to the second layer of foundation establishment, and it comes back at half a year minimum. A heavenly spiritual root cultivator needs 4 or 5 years to reach the middle stage. Dozens of times their rate, and still not enough for what is coming. I pull out the corpses next, demon, beast, and cultivator both, and run my finger across the whole pile with decomposition. Demonic power orbs and spiritual power orbs come apart by the 100. The demonic chi I release goes straight to my 12 spirit beasts, and they drink it down so fast their auras start climbing where I can see it. Masterless spiritual power floods straight into me, and the true essence in my Dantian swells at a rate I can watch. Tens of thousands of demon beast corpses and several hundred high-quality cultivator corpses give up a terrifying amount of it. My cultivation base climbs to the peak of the first level of foundation establishment and keeps pulling. Everyone else divides a realm into 5 stages: early stage, middle stage, late stage, peak, and perfection. But my Tao foundation means mine has to run 9 levels deep. So I go straight into the breakthrough and start condensing the second layer of Tao foundation. Above the 9-inch first layer, a fresh 8-inch layer begins taking shape. The bridge of heaven and earth opens again, and the traction thrown off by my water concept and fire concept is still strong enough to hold the condensation together. When the second layer finishes, my true essence jumps in strength and my aura climbs with it, all the way to what a cultivator at perfection of foundation establishment gives off. The perfect Tao foundation pays out hardest at the low end, since each superimposed layer comes in smaller than the last. An 8-inch layer is still considerable. I keep drinking after the second level, and when the spiritual power orbs from the demon beast corpses run dry, my true essence is just short of the peak. The last few hundred cultivator orbs close that gap and put me at the peak of the second level. No reason to stop there. I open the bridge of heaven and earth once more and haul the breath of the great Tao down into my Dantian to condense another layer. This one comes out at 7 inches. Compressed under 3 layers of Tao foundation, my true essence turns so refined it breaks the ceiling entirely, and the aura it puts out matches an ordinary golden core cultivator. The spiritual power almost ran out at the end, and that is the first time I have really felt the appetite of Prodigy's breakthrough carries. The demon beast corpses also come apart into a mountain of low-level innate abilities, which do very little for me as they stand, which raises a question I have somehow never asked. I have never once decomposed an innate ability, so I try it on a single innate ability light orb. Gold flashes, and the orb resolves into a spell chart plus a scatter of light spots, a spell secret rune, and an insight legacy side by side. The rune is plainly the casting trajectory of the fireball spell, only cleaner and more natural than any version I have been taught. My Tao origin takes an interest first, generating a suction that pulls the rune into my Dantian. It settles onto the origin's surface and sits alongside the spirit rune without merging into it. Then I turn to the insight legacy and tap it. The identify names it a fire insight legacy in small amount, with no grade at all. Some ancient existence carved their own understanding of the Tao of fire into their bloodline legacy, and after countless generations, almost nothing survives. An ancient existence. I would love to know exactly how ancient. I press the thing to the center of my brows and a handful of insights about flame surge through me. My grasp of fire momentum lifts a fraction, and something new opens in my sense of the fire concept. There turn out to be many kinds of fire concept, and what I have just picked up is the plainest of them, a burning concept. The insight is far too thin to be worth anything alone, so I run my gaze over the whole field of innate ability orbs, the fire type especially, and tap my finger through them one after another with decomposition. Spell secret rune after spell secret rune records itself into my Tao origin, while I swallow every insight legacy that comes loose. My mastery of fire momentum climbs to 10 parts before I have even settled into a rhythm. That speed is obscene. Li Shanggong spent over 100 years dragging his metal momentum to 10 parts. And I got there off a pile of secondhand insights in an afternoon. The fire concept comes next, and the deeper I go, the wider the field opens. There is scorching, burning, blazing sun, yang fire, yin fire, void fire, and ghost fire. And then explosive, pure yang, lust fire, and heart fire. And then warmth, destruction, and creation. Any single one of them, studied properly, unleashes real power, and mixing them only slows down the grasping. But I am not comprehending anything here. I am eating other people's insights, so all of it lands in me jumbled and unsorted, and the organizing can wait. The materialized flame inside my Tao origin swells out by several circles while it happens. Behind my back, a ball of fire flickers into being, and that is a manifestation, the mark that a concept has crossed its threshold. A manifestation is not decoration. It carries real combat power, and mine is the most ordinary version there is. An initial fire that pulls on the might of heaven and earth very weakly. I open my eyes and glance back at it, then let my intent thin it out until it fades, knowing it will come back the moment I want it. The quantity in each insight legacy is tiny, but the effect lands instantly. And for comprehending concepts, there is nothing better. So I keep going, and the water type innate abilities go the same road. My water momentum perfecting quickly and my water concept strengthening until it crosses its own threshold. The water and fire manifestations fuse on their own. A ball of flame and a ball of water overlap into a single water-fire yin and yang diagram hanging behind me. Earth is where it gets hard. My earth momentum rides up to 10 parts easily enough, then jams solid at the step into concept. I work through the insight legacies decomposed out of 5,000 earth-type innate abilities, one at a time before a single trace finally takes. So that is what comprehending a concept actually costs. And no wonder Lee Songgong went all those years without catching a wisp of one. Even leaning on the insight legacies, I had to force it open, because the step from nothing to something is the whole difficulty. I keep decomposing anyway, working through innate abilities of all 8 elements until every branch of heaven and earth momentum sits at 10 parts. Then I clear the concept hurdle on each of them in turn. The manifestation behind me becomes an 8 trigrams diagram. I did not shape it that way. Heaven and earth generated it in accordance with what I now understand. With a thought, I drop the 8 trigrams diagram under my feet and step on, and it carries me into the air. My feet cross from position to position while my figure flickers like an afterimage. Not bad at all as a combat aid. I bring out the golden core puppet and think at it, and an 8 trigrams diagram blooms behind the puppet as well. My insights channel through it exactly as I hoped. Studying the diagram, I can already see a high-tier spell hiding inside it. That would be no small piece of work, but a spell shaped out of my own manifestation would fit me better than anything I could buy, and its power would be enormous. Then I feel a demonic cultivator step into the underground passage at the foot of the mountain, and I put the theory down. I send the golden core puppet tunneling through the rock to the mouth of the market's underground passage, and take it down. The demonic cultivator waiting for me is a familiar one, and I greet Director Ju. Ju Hang breathes out at the side of me, grateful I am still here. The situation has changed. The 5 major sects have sent this generation's prodigies out on a demon extermination campaign, and the blood sacrifice has to move up. I frown and ask what level these prodigies are. He answers grimly that every one of them is a golden core prodigy. Their realm matches ours, but their strength lets them fight upward. Golden cores going at nascent souls, which he calls ridiculous. I nod like a man who has heard this before and ask whether he brought all the corpses. He tells me the results are compiled from every region and that the beast tide filled the last of the quota, including the requirement for golden core cultivators. Golden core corpses. No wonder the 5 major sects have decided to be serious. Jogi Hang smiles bitterly and admits that killing those few golden cores cost them dearly. Then he waves me along and says we are going to the space blockade site to break the seal with the blood sacrifice. I ask, as casually as I can manage, whether the corpses are already there or still on him. He says they went ahead to the space blockade site. I think about that for a moment, then agree to travel with him. The plan has changed on me. I came into this expecting to fleece a pile of corpses off him, and that is plainly not happening now. Moving against Jugi Hang would only pull the eye of whatever demon stands behind him, so the better play is to walk where he walks, and find out what this is. There may still be a moment where those corpses become mine. We leave the tunnel one behind the other, and my golden core puppet glances back at the slope on the way out. My true body is still down in the underground space absorbing blood chi off the demon beast pile to push my body refining along. Juji Hang asks what is wrong, and I tell him it is nothing and to lead on. He brings out a flying boat and steps aboard, and I follow him up. The boat lifts into the clouds and runs hard in one direction. Somewhere over the first stretch, he warns me not to be startled when I meet Protector Han, who has taken possession of a 4th-rank rodent demon beast. I answer that I understand. He goes back to steering. The craft has clearly been modified, since it leaks no power in flight, and nothing on the ground could trace its path. Neither of us notices the young man on a peak below, chewing a blade of grass, who tilts his head back to watch us pass. The corner of his mouth curls. He was told the search might take half a year, and he has turned up his clue in half a day, which says something about the old man's caution. He puts his hands behind his back, and the breeze takes him off the peak. An hour of flight later, the land under us turns to desert, yellow sand filling the sky, and the spiritual chi so thin the whole waste feels dead. Jogi Hang sets the boat down and says we go on without it, since the target it makes is too large and low flight will draw less trouble. I make a sound of agreement and we go low and fast toward whatever he is aiming at. 200 miles off our right shoulder, a chubby young man complains out loud that he has gotten lost. Every dune looks like every other dune, and his sense of direction has always been terrible. He picks a heading at random. It happens to be ours. Somewhere else again, a woman works a compass, reads great fortune off the direction it gives her, and flies deep into the same desert. We know about none of it. 2 more hours put ruins in front of us, collapsed buildings sitting out in the open sand for who knows how long. Jogi Hang says we have arrived. I ask whether these could be the old sect grounds of the Heaven Dream Sect, and he confirms it. The Heaven Dream Sect was a great power among the former 5 major sects of Un Prefecture. It declined across generations of legacy until nothing survived but the Hongmeng dynasty and a few preserved fragments. I remark that ancestors so glorious have withered to a sad state. He smiles and tells me this is the moment to restore my ancestors' glory, since opening the space blockade earns us the highest merit the demonic realm can award. He promises that Nascent Soul becomes a certainty after that, with soul transformation not out of reach. Once the demonic realm breaks the cultivation world, We will each hold a large territory and be honored as lords and ancestors. I put on a look of excitement and tell him I am truly looking forward to it. We cross the ruins to a basement that looks like nothing at all. Jogi Hang's fingers fly through handseal after handseal against the wall until faint patterns rise out of the stone and converge into a gate. He goes through first and I follow, and behind us the light gate thins out into nothing and the basement is only a basement again. Then a young man steps out of the wind. He looks the room over and finds it interesting, and the image of a divine bird rises behind him as he calls the Azure Phoenix transformation. His body becomes a mass of wind and pours into the bird, and the bird comes alive, spreads its wings, and dives at the spot where the portal stood. A hairline crack opens there again. The Azure Phoenix slips through it and is gone. I come back to myself somewhere else entirely. The land ahead of me is desolate, and its edges simply stop, dissolving into the void, where pitch-black cracks wink in and out with a terrible aura. Thousands of demonic cultivators stand on the ground with their faces turned up. Following them, I find a massive 8-trigram seal in the sky. Its patterns linked so densely that the whole thing composes the single written word, seal. In front of it floats a white cold jade rat, upright on its hind legs like a man with its front paws crossed, staring at the seal without blinking. It catches the ripple of our arrival and turns its head, sees the face of Li Songgong that my puppet is wearing, and asks whether I brought the corpses. I report respectfully to Protector Han that I have. My storage pouch is empty. Everything of value came out of it long ago. Old Demon Han nods and says the collection is complete and only a few items still stand between them and the blood sacrifice. Below the seal, an octagonal altar has already been raised with sides 100 yards long, its surface carved over with dense inscriptions that are nothing like simple. A blood pool sits at its dead center. Beside the altar, tens of thousands of ice coffins hold tens of thousands of cultivator corpses, as wretched a sight as I have ever walked into. One face in one coffin is familiar, the golden core cultivator who once shot past the summit of Cloudmist Mountain, lying there now with the rest. Old Demon Han orders me to move all my corpses over. My expression slips before I can catch it, because I did not expect to be asked this fast. I answer yes, and start toward the coffins, one slow step at a time, running the fight in my head. One golden core puppet against an Ascent Soul Old Demon, and several thousand demonic cultivators, a healthy number of them golden core themselves. I reach the altar, look up at the rat, and set myself to strike. The cold jade rat peers down at the motionless Li Songgong in some confusion, and tells me again to release them. I press my lips together and buy another half-breath. Then a ripple runs along the edge of the land, and the rat frowns and turns away from me. A streak of green light opens into an azure phoenix, and with a second flash the bird folds back into a manifestation, and a young man walks out of the glare. He takes in the scene, smiles, and cups his hands to the assembly, introducing himself as Peng Juya, a true disciple of the Nuangso Sect. He has come, he says, to seek instruction in the brilliant techniques of the demonic cultivators. The confidence lasts until his eyes reach one of the coffins on the ground. The corpse in it wears the robes of a peak master from a Nungso Sect branch, and it is an elder of the Peng family he knew personally. His face cools by degrees until he tells them flatly that every one of them deserves to die. Old Demon Han's face darkens, and he recites Peng Juya back at him. The recitation covers this generation's prodigy of the Nuangso Sect, 17th generation disciple of the Peng family, identified as a heavenly spiritual root 80 years ago and standing today at golden core perfection. The old demon admits that is genuinely surprising. Peng Juya answers coldly that intelligence that detailed proves how long they have been lurking, and says he will collect the blood debt today on behalf of many fellow Taoists. Old Demon Han sneers and asks whether he means to do it alone. Around him, the thousands of demonic cultivators turn their attention on the newcomer, and their auras lock together into a military formation. Peng Juya's face changes as he registers that something here is wrong. The old demon keeps talking, and the shape of it is worse than the ambush. He says he always expected prodigies to come, because he knows exactly what those old men in the sects are like. He explains that they let demonic cultivators slaughter freely on purpose, raising the stakes for their young geniuses. When those geniuses finally rode out, the heavenly Tao would favor them, karma would grace them, and luck would pour into them. Calling it revenge on behalf of the dead is, in his words, high-sounding hypocrisy. So he went along with the current, letting the bait grow, because what he needs to break the seal is precisely the luck of prodigies washing over it. Then he laughs at Peng Juya for walking in. Peng Juya goes pale, turns for the way he came, and finds it sealed shut. Behind him, standing at the altar with my mouth slightly open, all I can think is what a crafty old bastard he is. Old Demon Han orders me to put away the ice coffins and the altar first, so the fighting does not damage them. I bow and do it, folding tens of thousands of coffins in the 100-yard demonic path blood sacrifice altar out of the world. Another ripple crosses the edge of the land while I work. A fat man stumbles through it, takes one blank look at several thousand hostile auras, apologizes awkwardly for having wandered into the wrong place, and turns straight back around. Peng Juya shouts after him, calling him Yuxu and pointing out that the demonic cultivators are standing right there. The fat man comes back, studies the cold jade rat, and tells Brother Juya his eyesight must be poor, because that is clearly just a big rat. Old Demon Han's face goes black and he demands to know who this dead fatty from the Buyo sect thinks he is addressing. Yuxu sours immediately and tells the rat that it is the dead fatty, and so is its entire family. Then he suggests to Peng Juya that they kill it and stew it for soup on the way home. The next ripple brings a woman onto the land. She reads the scene without visible reaction and states that the target is found, adding that she did not expect a spatial seal inside the cultivation world. Peng Juya greets her happily as junior sister Chusiona and says they can fight side by side once more. She frowns and tells him to get lost. Old Demon Han's brow creases at 3 golden core prodigies on his doorstep, and he says they think very highly of him before ordering the formation activated. Black gas churns up across the ground. Enormous volumes of demonic chi rise out of the earth where there was nothing, weaving together until a demonic path grand formation covers the entire secret realm. Chu Seona has her compass out at once, and whatever the deduction gives her changes her face. She warns the other two that this formation is built on a demonic vein and its power reaches tier 4. Peng Juya stops smiling. Then the desolate land is simply gone, replaced by black mist thick enough to swallow a hand held up in front of my eyes. Yuxu and Chu Seona, who are standing right beside Peng Juya, are nowhere at all. Peng Juya answers the dark by calling on wind. He pushes his divine sense out into it, and since wind exists everywhere between heaven and earth, the whole of it becomes his eyes and ears at once. He sees the cold jade rat closing on him, and hears the thousands of demonic cultivators locking into a formation, and the cover of blackness stops meaning anything. Then he calls the furious wind soul-extinguishing slash, and the longsword in his hand takes him with it as a streak of swordlight aimed at the retreating rat. Old Demon Han looks genuinely startled, then cold comes off him in a wave and he calls a frozen world. Snowflakes and ice crystals condense out of empty air into a landscape of winter, and blade after blade of ice drives at Peng Juya together. The ice blades hit him and he only accelerates. Old Demon Han's eyelids twitch as he works out what he is looking at. Peng Juya has crossed the threshold on both the sword concept and the wind concept, then fused the two into something of his own. He snaps open a black umbrella, and the sword carves a thin notch across it. His eyes go cold and he backhands a rat claw into Peng Juya, who tumbles in the air before righting himself undamaged, his stare still fixed on the rat. That is when the old demon starts to frown. He expected the physique of a rank 4 demon beast to make butchering a golden core simple, and instead, Peng Juya's physical body stands at rank 4 early stage as well. Somebody exclaims off to the side, and old Demon Han turns. Yuxu has somehow reached an unremarkable patch of ground and produced a black medallion. The moment it is out, the spatial lock on the secret realm shatters, and the connection to the external demonic vein is cut. The old demon is dumbfounded, blurting that the thing is the secret realm core and demanding to know when the fat man got in there. Then he comes at Yuxu in a fury with an ice spear loaded with ice concept. Yuxu panics and runs, and when the spear is about to take him, he throws the medallion up as a shield. Old Demon Han hauls his power back too late, and the spear cracks the medallion into 2 pieces that drop to the dirt. The wrenched trajectory sends the spear past him instead of through him, tearing the secret realm's space open on the far side. Yuxu dives headfirst into the closing rift, and is out of the secret realm before anyone can stop him. Old Demon Han cannot find him afterward, and cannot accept it either, protesting that the myriad demon's spirit-devouring formation is active, and nobody walks out of an active formation. Then he turns his head and discovers the formation his thousands of demonic cultivators were holding is already broken. Chu Seona put dozens of formation seals together, found the flaw, punched through the protection, and is now inside their ranks butchering them. A single sword pass takes dozens at a time, and they have nothing to answer it with. The old demon cannot believe a rank 4 grand formation he spent 3 full years building was cracked open by a golden core cultivator. He wants to handle her personally, and Peng Juya never gives him the opening, closing back in until man and rat are locked together in the air. Golden Core Perfection holds its own against Nascent's soul, the Azure Phoenix manifestation at his back merging into his sword to pull heaven and earth down the blade. I stand in my corner watching it, and I am, frankly, dazed. That level of combat is on another floor entirely from mine. My eyes go to the 2 halves of the medallion on the ground, and I drift over and pick them up. Broken, it controls nothing and this secret realm no longer answers it, so I shake my head and put the disappointment away. Looking back across the field, more than half of the thousands are already down, and Zhu Jihang, the man who walked me in here, has been decapitated. Several golden core demonic cultivators working together could not slow Chusiona for a heartbeat. What catches my attention is where the dead are going. Strands of blood chi and demonic chi and soul power lift off every corpse and climb into the sky. Every scrap of resentment and hatred and anger and despair torn loose from a dying demonic cultivator climbs after them, and all of it merges into the seal. The 8 trigram spatial seal is loosening. My pupils shrink as the whole thing rearranges itself in my head, because whatever is breaking that seal, it is not the corpses and never was the blood sacrifice. It is the demonic cultivators dying. Chuseona keeps killing, despair keeps pouring upward, and a hairline gap opens across the seal. I cannot stand and watch that, so I take one step and put myself in her path. Her gaze goes cold and a flying sword comes from my head without any warning at all. I release my golden core magic power and condense 6 golden plates in front of me. The rank 3 spell called 6 Armor Shield. Her sword changes direction dozens of times on the way in, fluttering around me like a butterfly. I stay locked on it because my grasp of the earth concept makes every mode of earth spiritual chi an extension of my sight, and the dust tells me where her blade is. A golden plate slides into its path, and the collision dims the plate's light without troubling it. Her indifference drops away, and she looks at me properly, then names the earth concept out loud with complete certainty. I glance across the field while she does. 900 demonic cultivators have fallen. The golden core ones wiped out entirely. About half the Foundation establishment ones still on their feet. Then I squint at the sky, where the gap in the seal has stopped growing and begun to close. Chuseona follows my eyes up without thinking about it, and what she sees changes her face. The formation had been screening the seal from her this whole time. Only now, with most of it broken and its keepers dead, can she see the crack running across it. Her hair stands up on her arms. High above us, old Demon Han notices the killing has stopped, and when he tastes the earth concept coming off me, his mouth twitches at the corner. He tells his people, low and quick, to kill the female cultivator. They answer with bloodthirsty roars, every trace of their fear gone, and the whole surviving mass turns and charges Chuseona. She takes dozens more, then catches the gap in the seal widening again, and works it out for herself. The corpses and the blood sacrifice were never the mechanism, and the demonic cultivators themselves are the key. She notes aloud that it is a deep conspiracy, and that she caught it in time, so she stops killing them and starts crippling them instead. One after another, they lose the ability to fight and go on breathing. One of them finds that unbearable, snarling with bloodshot eyes that she is humiliating them, and that they will burn their blood essence and take her to the end. Then they do it, auras surging as their lifespans burn away underneath. And although Chuseona is deliberately leaving them alive, they die anyway by their own hands. The crack in the spatial seal keeps widening. She goes tight with alarm and shouts up to Peng Juya that the situation has changed, and he catches a glimpse of the seal between exchanges and turns grim. Old Demon Han only laughs and asks whether they have finally noticed. His whole approach, he says, was crossing the sea undercover. The stratagem fooled his own followers into a frenzy, fooled the old immortal monsters into a frenzy. It has carried him to the end of a long and difficult job. Demonic chi, resentment, and despair are the keys to the immortal path seal, he tells them, and with it open, they can look forward to an invasion out of the demonic realm. Then a blood-red glow bursts off him, because he has set himself alight. Peng Juya's face changes, and the next instant the old demon hammers him into the rim of the land. A black spatial crack folds over him and spits him out of the secret realm entirely. The second punch goes to Chuseona, whose artifact robe flares and takes the blow for her, though it still throws her to the edge and out of sight. The third punch lands in the middle of his own surviving followers, and a freezing wind goes through every one of them at once. My puppet body dies with them. Old Demon Han at full burn is nothing like the creature he was pretending to be earlier. He takes one extra look at my remains, confirms he is looking at a corpse, and dismisses it. Then he gathers the demonic chi and resentment of everyone he just killed and drives it into the spatial seal. The crack across the 8 trigram seal opens wider and wider. He grins and says that even a soul transformation cultivator could not reseal it quickly now, and that the demonic realm is coming down. He burns his own blood chi and demonic power on top of that, pouring energy into the gap until it widens further. When the last of his strength is spent, the seal still has not fully split. He smiles anyway and says it needs only a little more time, and nothing alive can stop it. His soul goes out of him as a streak of black light and throws itself into the seal as the final contribution to its ruin. My golden core puppet lies on the ground with its eyes open through all of it, and on its last thread of soul power, so do I. Inside Cloud Mist Mountain, my real body has been quietly turning into something else. Physical body cultivation and soul cultivation both took a long stride while I was away. Tens of thousands of demon beast corpses carried my physical body to Foundation establishment perfection, and my soul strength broke the golden core level bottleneck and settled at golden core early stage. My 12 spirit pets changed beyond recognition, every one of them stepping into the Tier 2 realm at Tier 2 high grade or better. They fed on the demonic chi essence and bloodline power of that corpse mountain. Their foundations are shallower than mine, so the volume they needed to break through was never as absurd as mine is. None of that matters now. Through my puppet clone, I watched the seal come apart, and it has shaken me to the bone. Prodigies. More of a hindrance than a help, every time. I curse under my breath, get to my feet, and light up Earth Escape. Shrinking Earth, Spirit Vein Perception, and Earth Perception all at once. Traveling through the Earth veins puts me far past any speed I could manage on the surface. Collecting talents taught me that they combine, and a stack of them together makes something none of them could do alone. Earth Escape came off the armored Earth Diving Beast, and Shrinking Earth came off the 5-colored Brocade Chicken, and together they let me run inside the Earth veins themselves. Spirit Vein Perception and Earth Perception keep the whole network laid out clean in my head. At full speed, my true essence drains fast, so I pull restoration medicinal pills from my storage pouch and swallow them as I go, burning and refilling in the same breath. In less than 10 minutes, I cross a slice of Hongmong Dynasty territory and surface inside the ruins. The basement is where I left it. I run the hand seals, the gateway ghosts into being, and I throw myself through it. The seal in the sky is in tatters when I open my eyes. A massive crack runs through the center, wide enough that the deep black light behind shows through, and the whole thing looks one breath from tearing. I take a long breath, fly up to it, and put my hand against the crack. Identify names what is coming through as Dark Demonic Grudge, and rates at Tier 7 top grade. It is demonic resentment leaking out of the demonic realm, riding the resentment of demonic cultivators across space, and it fouls seals and corrodes space wherever it lands. So the sacrifice of all those demonic cultivators was only a beacon, and the thing actually chewing the seal open came from the other side. If the demonic realm comes down, I burn with everyone else, so there is no version of this where I stand back. I trigger decomposition, and golden light closes over the surging dark demonic grudge and takes it apart. The karma on this one should be enormous. Gold flashes and the pieces come out. Identify walks me through them one at a time. The first is a demonic realm world origin at the minor 1,000 worlds level. World origin belonging to the heavenly Tao of the demonic realm. It is poison to anything born outside that realm and a supreme treasure to anything born inside it. The second is the power of Vengeful Curse at Tier 7 top grade, holding the Vengeful Curse divine ability of a Tribulation Realm peak demonic cultivator. It defiles anything it touches and can curse kill an enemy across space. The third is a high-grade demon crystal packed with pure advanced demonic chi, and the reading notes that demon crystals sit a level above magic stones as energy. The last is a set of world coordinates also minor 1,000 worlds level, holding the spatial position of an entire world. I put my finger on the demonic realm world origin first. Golden light swallows it. Decomposition does its work, and the pitch black origin resolves into a mass of transparent, ownerless world origin, plus a cluster of black world marks. The instant those world marks exist, purple lightning tears across the void realm and annihilates them where they hang. I would have run if I had felt any danger in it, though in truth nothing that fast leaves room to react. The word that surfaces in me is Heavenly Tao. Afraid the Heavenly Tao might come back for the rest of my winnings, I get my Tao origin working immediately. It puts out a suction that hauls the entire cluster of pure world origin down into itself. Once a sliver of world origin was enough to open a narrow special space in there. This cluster runs over 1,000,000 times that, and the space does not open so much as blow outward. Over half of the world origin is consumed doing it. What I am left with is an interior about 1,000 yards across, fully developed, with wisps of momentum drifting through it, like current in water. At its center sits an 8 trigrams diagram with my 8 manifestations parked in their own regions: fire, pool, soil, metal, grass, whirlwind, thunder, and snow. Dead in the middle, the leftover world origin has turned into flowing origin power, half black and half white, refined through my soul until every inch carries my mark. It split itself into a spiritual chi half and a demonic chi half without being asked. I walked the path of spirit and the demonic path at once, and the origin simply accommodated both. I look into that space and understand exactly what I am looking at. It is the prototype of a great Tao origin space, freshly condensed. The Tao origin was intercepted from the great Tao to begin with. It has now rooted itself in my body a second time and grown a great Tao origin space that belongs to nobody but me. Every manifestation inside it is a piece of the great Tao I comprehended personally, and while 8 concepts and 9 kinds of momentum inside are a thin beginning, a beginning is what they are. The name I gave the thing has stopped being an interpretation and become a description. I remember enough from the miscellaneous books and legends in the Sect to know this material belongs to void refining and body integration, realms I have no business touching. The stories say a void refining cultivator past soul transformation goes looking for a secret realm to sit in and comprehend the great Tao. A body integration cultivator takes a secret realm for himself and turns it into a blessed land, fusing with its origin space to cultivate. Even then, he only borrows that origin space, since it never truly becomes his. It takes the Mahayana realm to break free of the secret realm's constraints, comprehend a sliver of law, and step onto the immortal path. And I opened my own Great Tao origin space at Foundation Establishment by hand. The Sect's books are not going to be far off the real thing, so the conclusion is simply that my road is not the orthodox one. Whatever sowed the demonic seed may not be walking it either. What made the whole fusion possible was decomposition stripping the original marks off the Tao origin, which is as heaven-defying as anything my golden finger has done. Without that step, nobody refines a Tao origin at all. I let out a slow breath and decide not to gnaw on it, since a good thing is a good thing. The power of Vengeful Curse is next, and it is a high-level piece of work in its own right. Decomposition collapses it into spatial power, yin qi, resentful qi, and soul silk. And I stare at the list trying to see how 4 ingredients that ordinary make something so vicious. The reading on the soul silk calls it a large quantity and gives it no grade at all. It is souls refined down into thread, suitable for weaving into a net of vengeful curses. My pupils shrink because there are at minimum 10 million strands in that cluster, and every strand was a person. That is genuinely horrifying. The spatial power is a crystalline fluid holding the shape of a light sphere, and I have a strong feeling that puncturing it would scatter the whole thing instantly. I have never comprehended any spatial concept, so I have no way to handle it directly. Instead, I open the Tao origin and let it take the sphere, which vanishes out of my hand into my Dantian and merges in. Until now, there was nothing at all between the origin space and the Tao origin's outer shell. As the spatial power settles, a large volume of space is created between the shell and the origin space, propping the whole Tao origin open like an egg. The yolk is the origin space, 1,000 yards of radius holding the momentum of heaven and earth. My concepts, source chi, and world origin. The white is brand new and completely empty. It starts at a radius of 1 mile and keeps growing until the spatial power runs dry, leaving the interior 100 miles across. The strange part is that while the white expands, the yolk appears to shrink, though its true size never changes, the way a mountain folds into a mustard seed. Some of the spatial power clearly went into the origin space as well. The shell around all of it is a thin protective layer, engraved over with spirit runes and spell secret runes. That leaves the yin qi and the resentful qi, and after a moment's thought I have the Tao origin pull both in. The 2 enormous clouds go down into my Dantian and pour into the space at the origin center, blundering around loose for a while before pooling at the bottom. Then a wisp of earth qi releases into them, and where the 3 meet, the first grain of yin soil forms and hangs at the base of the origin space. More earth qi goes out, more grains accumulate, and a patch of ground roughly a yard square builds itself up, attached upside down at the bottom of the origin space. I am honestly startled that it works. That earth concept insight plus yin qi plus resentful qi condenses actual yin attribute soil. For about 1 breath I feel like a creator of worlds. Then the feeling passes, because I do not understand the first thing about how that soil came to be. I released earth concept and true essence into 2 energies and got dirt, and the principles underneath are a total blank to me. Condensing it also eats a ruinous amount of true essence, so hauling soil in from outside will always beat making it. Still, the test tells me what the space is capable of, and my expectations for it climb accordingly. That brings me back to the soul silk, and I feel genuinely conflicted looking at it. I run decomposition on a single strand and it comes apart into ownerless soul power and a few soul imprints. The imprints drift into that soul power on their own and form a blurred soul body. It has no consciousness and no memories left, and it floats in front of me like fog with a shape. Outside, a soul body like that would not survive a stiff breeze. It belongs to a mortal, its soul power is thin past any use to me, and refining something that faint holds no interest. Leaving it drifting here is not right either. So I have the Tao origin generate suction again, and the soul body is pulled out of the air into the origin space. It hangs unmoving among the yin qi and resentful qi until a trace of each drifts into it. I sigh, close my fingers, and decompose tens of millions of strands of soul silk at once. And every scrap of soul power finds its imprints and becomes another unconscious soul body. I put all of them into the Tao origin space and leave them there. The demon crystals and the world coordinates go into storage. Only then do I actually look around me. The spatial seal overhead has returned to what it was, and the crack has healed shut. Below it, the ground is covered in corpses. Thousands of demonic cultivators and the rank 4 cold jade rat among them. Everyone shriveled and dry. I come down and go over the bodies one at a time, and decomposition turns each of them straight into a heap of dirt with nothing left behind. Even the rank 4 cold jade rat gives up nothing at all, drained hollow of every last drop of essence. What a pauper of a corpse. I check the rat twice over and cannot find so much as a single storage pouch on it. Then I remember that old Demon Han's real physical body was killed long ago, and his storage pouch went with it. If this whole thing really was his scheme, it cost him more than he ever admitted out loud. Then I find my golden core puppet, battered past recognition and emptied of every scrap of power it held. I shake my head and take the 2 halves of the token out of my storage pouch. Identify calls it a damaged Secret Realm core token, rates its small Secret Realm grade, and lists its effect as controlling a Secret Realm, with the function disabled. There is no reason to think about that, so I tap decomposition onto both pieces. Gold flashes, the token stays where it is, and 2 light orbs come up beside it. 1 broken token and 2 fragments of an origin space mark. The fragments merge on their own into a single whole orb, and the reading now says Origin Space Mark, Small Secret Realm Grade, Effect controlling a Secret Realm world. I take hold of it and refine it immediately, pouring true essence and divine sense in until it merges into my body and settles hanging inside my dantian. Through the mark I am connected to this entire secret realm. I can seal the spatial portal to the outside or open it. I can shift where the secret realm sits in space. I can even feel faint concept fluctuations rising off the origin space inside it. What surprises me is that the spatial seal overhead is not native to this place at all. The secret realm was moved here to sit on top of the seal, which means the seal was rooted in the outside world from the beginning. That settles my next decision, since I have no intention of guarding a demonic realm gate for the rest of my life, and the major sects can carry that weight. So I start moving the secret realm. It moves at a crawl. Watching the edges shift while the seal stays perfectly still is the only way to be sure anything is happening. It takes a long stretch of that before the seal reaches the boundary and gets pushed out of the secret realm entirely. I hurry out after it into the open world, and before I can even locate the seal, golden light blooms over my head. Above the desert, a golden cloud is condensing out of nothing. I break into a grin, because that is heavenly Tao karma arriving. The cloud sends its light down over me, and a golden orb condenses in front of my face. The reward itself. The volume of karma in it runs 10,000 times what I earned clearing demonic chi before. This one I do not decompose. I merge the heavenly karma into myself instead, not to push my cultivation or my physical body, but simply to bind the karma to my person. A faint golden light settles over me until I look noble beyond anything I have earned honestly. That is karma body protection. Anyone of this world who raises a hand against me now eats the backlash, and anyone who actually kills me invites heavenly tribulation down on their own head. It is the gold standard certification the heavenly Tao issues to whoever performs a great enough deed. While I am still admiring it, the space beside me ripples and a fat man stumbles out. He rights himself, sweeps the area warily, freezes for a beat when he registers me standing there, then turns to look at the seal hanging in the air. He makes a surprised noise and says out loud that he was told the crisis had not been resolved. Then he pulls a sound-transmitting conch and shouts into it that the seal is perfectly intact and there is nothing left for him to do. An elderly voice comes back startled, asking whether he is certain and whether he might be looking at an illusion, then telling him to wait for a divination. A moment later, the old man confirms the crisis really is over and asks whether he noticed anything strange nearby. Yuxu looks around and reports that the space seal is just floating there by itself. The old man calls that very strange and sounds genuinely puzzled by it. Yuxu announces that his mission is complete, that he will make his own way back to the sect later, and hangs up on the man mid-protest. Only then does he turn to me, remarking that I look completely unfamiliar and asking whether I am the one who resolved the space seal. I give him a long look and tell him I have no idea what happened here, then say farewell and walk off. He comes after me at once, shouting for me to wait, and offering his name as Yuxu while asking what he should call me. I do not answer him. I step once on the ground, and shrinking earth puts me 100 yards away like an afterimage, and within a few blinks he has lost me entirely. Behind me he stands there with no idea what to do with himself, saying out loud that the movement technique was incredible. A sword light crosses the sky, and Peng Jia sets down in the air above him, glances at the perfectly ordinary seal, and asks whether Yuxu handled it. Yuxu shakes his head and says it was an unfamiliar young cultivator whose realm he could not see through, though the man was definitely not old. Peng Juya, surprised, asks where he went. Yuxu points off into the distance and says the man left at a speed nothing he has could match. That astonishes Peng Juya, who asks aloud which sect has been hiding a prodigy like that. Yuxu chuckles and tells him the man is Falling Cloud Sect's luck sitting on him. Peng Juya finds that interesting, admits he had written off the current generation of Falling Cloud Sect true disciples, and lets a flash of battle intent through before asking what the man looked like. Yuxu answers with a water mirror technique that puts my face in the air between them, and Peng Juya smiles and says he will remember it. Chu Seona arrives on her sword while they are still looking at me. She glances at the water mirror image and tells Yuxu that even with luck like his, somebody else walked off with the fruit of his labor. His luck is not omnipotent after all. Yuxu says without any concern that he has always relied on his own strength anyway. She curls her lip at that, looks up at the space seal, and says she will raise a formation to guard it and leave the long watch to the various sects. Peng Jia smiles and tells her the job is hers. She takes out several pieces of formation materials and builds a Tier 3 protective concealment formation on the spot. A stone tablet inside it warns anyone who wanders close, and then she leaves without a backward glance. Peng Jia hesitates for a beat, then chases after her, calling that he has something to ask her. Yuxu shakes his head at the pair of them and goes his own way. Once all three are gone, I come up out of the ground. What sticks with me is the luck I read off them. Yuxu's primary luck was blue, which rattled me, since blue luck belongs to void refining experts, and this man carries it at the golden core stage. Peng Juya and Chu Siona were nothing to sneer at either, each running several hundred strands of cyan luck, which is what a prodigy's reputation is supposed to look like. Then I turn my attention above my own head. My outermost layer is world luck, the world's favor toward me, and where it once held 10 strands, it now stands at 999. The second circle is human race luck, my race's protection over me, and that has also reached 999 strands of purple. The third circle, Sect luck, sits at 600 strands of cyan. The fourth is faction luck, which has quietly climbed into the yellow grade with a little over 100 strands. The innermost circle is the one that stops me. My primary luck has gone from 11 strands of cyan to 100 strands of purple. That is a towering figure by any measure. And then I notice something odder still, that my faction luck and sect luck are both drawing feedback from my personal luck and growing, which means that instead of the sect sheltering me, I am now quietly sheltering the sect. I do not know whether to laugh at that or not, so I shake my head and turn to the formation in front of me. Tier 3, and I would be locked out except that I watched Chu Seona build the thing from the first material to the last. I take out a compass outside the boundary, run the calculations, and step in. I go forward and back and left and right through the pattern until I stand at the center with the space seal above me. After that, I go through the ruins properly, because I am here and my golden finger may as well earn its keep. Stretch after stretch of broken masonry gives me nothing worth carrying. Then, turning to leave, my finger brushes a rock and the identification pours in. It names the thing a heaven and earth spiritual vein, fragmented, a spiritual vein seed, and rates it Tier 6 low grade. The description says it is a fragment of a Tier 6 spiritual vein, tempered and washed by spatial power until it became a seed. Merging it into the earth will grow an entirely new spiritual vein. My pupils shrink, a spiritual vein I can carry in my hand, one that can grow. I am close to giddy, because I have tried this before and failed twice. Extracting a piece of a spiritual vein gave me a dead thing with no vitality that would never become anything. Running decomposition on a wisp of one simply turned it into pure spiritual chi that scattered. That is precisely why spiritual veins cannot be picked up and moved. The great sects post people out in the wilderness at every worthwhile site, instead of hauling the veins home and being done with it. Now, out of a pile of nameless rubble, I have a spiritual vein seed, which means I can build a spiritual land wherever I choose to plant it. I tuck the spiritual vein seed away and walk the ruins one more time, and nothing else worth carrying out turns up. In the end, my eyes settle on what I have been standing on the whole time, the bricks and stones of the fallen buildings. Identify names it at once: red scale brick, Tier 2 low grade, spirituality lost. Awake it would turn aside a divine sense probe and swallow any spell below Tier 2, but the last line calls it inactive, which is a polite way of saying dead. There is an ocean of masonry here, most of it red scale brick, and every piece of it is hollow. So I start decomposing them one after another. Gold light flashes and the brick falls open into a double handful of red soil. Tier 2, spirit soil. The raw stock of red scale brick gets fired from. The spirituality in the brick was gone for good, but soil is a different animal, and the loose grains get back the one thing that matters, the ability to drink spiritual chi. The spiritual chi of the world bends toward the heap and sinks in, which is what spirit soil does. Within a few breaths, the clump carries a faint shine of spiritual power again. Trash to whoever built this place. Stock to me. I lay my palm against a whole standing ruin and let the gold light run. The building comes down into mounded piles of spirit soil, red scale soil shot through with other kinds, all of it pulling in spiritual chi the moment it forms. I work the ruins end to end, wall and floor tile alike, until nothing is left standing but soil. Then I stand still and watch the rate of absorption climb, level off, and slow. Only when the soil has taken everything it can hold do I sweep the harvest up. My space mark opens a portal and one step drops me back inside the secret realm. The land is as dead as I left it, gray sky over gray dirt, and black spatial cracks still flicker along the rim and gnaw at the edges of the space. No spiritual veins, no spiritual plants, nothing alive anywhere, just an oversized warehouse that happens to hold living things. The barrier is thin enough that those cracks could take the realm apart at any time, which is exactly why somebody decided it made a good hiding place for a space seal. But it is an independent secret realm all the same. A secret realm has standard uses: trial grounds, spirit beast pens, spiritual plant gardens, a vault for a legacy, and none of them help me. The best thing this one can be is food for my Tao origin space. I press my palm to the ground and gold light runs out in every direction, pouring through the earth and wrapping the whole realm from sky to bedrock. Even I am rattled, because I did not expect to cover a whole world. The instant the light closes over it, I pull myself out through the space mark. I come out into open air and the pieces of a broken world hang in front of me. There is the world origin of the secret realm, a body of spatial power, an earth vein, plain soil, loose spiritual chi, and a law fragment. I decompose the world origin again into ownerless world origin and swallow it, and the origin pool at the center of my origin space widens by a ring. The spatial power goes in next, poured straight into the Tao origin world, and the 100-mile radius I had pushes out another 50 miles. That world is still mostly emptiness, with yin chi and resentful chi drifting through the lower hemisphere and 10 million soul bodies floating in the drift. Then I look at the soil. It is not ordinary dirt, but spirit soil of the very lowest grade there is, which is still spirit soil. I open my mouth and let the Tao origin fly out, and it releases a gathering pull that hauls the soil and the loose spiritual chi in together. Inside the Tao origin world, the earth banks around the origin space until it rounds into a small planetary body, and the space answers with gravity to hold the shell in place. This is the Tao origin I opened, its rules laid down by my own understanding. Of course, it built a sphere instead of the round heaven over square earth every cultivator here takes for granted. A difference in cognition, nothing more. My eyes go to the earth vein next, and I cannot keep the grin down. Identify names at an earth vein at tier 1 low grade, nurtured inside a secret realm world, able to transform turbid chi and generate earth chi. It is the lowest tier that exists, but it is complete, and complete is the whole point. I send the Tao origin to collect it. The vein, barely a mile end to end, roots into the soil with one end fastened to the origin space and the other coiling into a ring. It settles, steadies, and starts putting out branches, and the scattered dirt tightens around them into a genuine landmass. Last comes the law fragment, and this is the one that slows my hands. Identify gives it no rank at all, only a name and a line calling it a tiny fragment of the 5 elements law. I breathe out and set it into the origin space. It changes into a 5-colored jade stone that settles into the exact center and hangs above the world origin, and wisps of that world origin rise into it. What comes back out of the jade is 5 separate breaths: water chi, fire chi, wood chi, earth chi, and metal chi. I steer all 5 out into the world. The earth chi sinks into the earth vein and lifts it by a degree so small I only catch it because I am watching. The water chi goes into the land and gathers a water vein a few yards long, the smallest thing that could honestly be called a vein. The metal chi condenses a faint mineral vein smaller still. The wood chi spreads through the topsoil, and the ground takes on a vitality it did not have. The last breath climbs to the very top of the Tao origin world, where it meets the fire breath spell secret rune and the fire spirit rune worked into the shell and answers them. The fire chi rounds into a burning ball and hangs high over everything. It drinks spiritual chi without stopping, holds its link to both runes, and makes its own light and heat unaided. Every change of the 5 elements lies open in front of me in fine detail. After a moment of turning it over, I come away with a real insight into the 5 elements concept, worked out with my own eyes instead of read off a manual. If I meditate on this law fragment properly, my concept will not just advance quickly, I might genuinely touch a trace of law. I take out the tier 6 low-grade spiritual vein fragment and set it inside the Tao origin world. The stone sinks into the earth, touches the earth vein, and trips a mechanism I did not build. It comes apart into a radiance that runs along the veins of the ground and knits into a complete spiritual vein, only tier 1 low grade, whole and young and carrying enormous potential. Branch veins push up and begin letting off a thin trickle of spiritual chi. I scatter the spirit soil from the ruins across the best of the ground, and a spirit field of more than 1,000 acres takes shape. With a spiritual vein under it, the Tao origin world finally feels like somewhere instead of something. Then I take out the high-grade demon crystal. It is the counterpart of a high-grade spirit crystal, an energy crystal only cultivators above the body integration stage may use, worth about 1 million top-grade spirit stones, and useless to me. So it goes into the Tao origin world too, underground in the center of the lower hemisphere, directly above the spiritual vein. The crystal releases no demonic chi on its own. It takes the spiritual chi rising off the spiritual vein and converts every bit that comes near into low-quality demonic chi, which spills across the lower hemisphere. One crystal turns the whole bottom half of my world demonic. The soul bodies down there absorb the demonic chi without knowing it, and the corruption I braced for never arrives. The opposite happens.